100 years. Look at Nigeria, for example. Captain Lugard Global got Nigeria together by picking pieces and putting a nation, a political nation called Nigeria. Believe me or not, it was supposed to end, to expire. Nobody has looked at the expiry date of Nigeria. That's why you see every bad thing that is happening on the continent of Africa. You find it lined up in Nigeria. You find it starting in Nigeria. Corruption, military takeovers, whatever you call it. Look at that. Killing people. Terrorism of the highest degree in the Sahara region. Because we have a colonial hangover. Is it colonial hangover that is the problem? You can blame the leaders, the current leaders. You can blame them. You can fix them, crucify them on the cross. Put nails in them. But until you change the structures, and I'm being honest, until you change the structures, of colonial nature, the structures that are killing Africa at the moment, until you change them, until you have some modernization, reform, a renaissance. Africa needs a renaissance. Why should you be fighting because of elections and democracy? Why? Why do we fight? Because we don't understand the difference between elections and the democracy. How many Africans in Africa understand the difference? Why should we be holding elections every 5 years? What for? When a country like Europe that holds elections every 5 years, they have the money, they have the reserves, they have the meat, they have the food, they have the salt, they have everything. In Africa, you don't have. Some people sleep hungry. Some people, children at home. And here you are holding elections, wasting $3 billion. $3 billion. Look at the election of Nigeria, for example. Is it worth calling it an election? Was there an election in Nigeria? Sure. 68 million people did not turn up to vote. Do you call that an election? 68 million people did not turn up to go and cast their vote. And you come here to tell me we are very happy. We have held an election. I am Buhari. I am handing over 68 million people. 68 million people. Nigeria is blessed. Nigeria is blessed with oil. But what does it do with its oil? Nigeria is blessed with oil. What does it do with the oil? Does it eat its oil? Where does it take it? You will be shocked that Nigeria has oil, but there are no fuel operations going on in petrol stations in Nigeria. What went wrong with Africa? Does it help Africa? Is the oil that we produce a curse or a mere problem for us? Why is it that every country that has oil is beginning to have chaos? Miriam, put us through some of the African headlines across in Nairobi where you are. I'm told it's raining heavily. Thank you very much. It rained heavily last night. Thank you very much for the rains that have come. But are we harnessing these rains? Are we harvesting them? Are we harvesting the water? That's the tragedy of Africa. Miriam in Nairobi, good afternoon.
Very good afternoon to you, Doc, and good afternoon to all our listeners from wherever they're joining us from. Good morning, good evening. So I'll just bring us the headlines very quickly. From Kenya, the two leading newspapers, the Sunday Nation, Ruto targets Uhuru over Raila protest. That is what we have on the cover there, and Lamu Port billions rot away as ships keep off, and government of multi-billion shillings deals. That is what we have. And the Sunday Standard, crippling cost of Ruto Raila standoff, and why chronic diseases are still country's big burden. And just up there, a piece by Bishop Muheria on the dangers of shrinking religious space. That is what we have there. And other newspapers from across the continent of Africa, the Sunday Vision from Uganda, relations inside Rwanda Uganda joint meeting, and the Sunday Monitor also from Uganda, BOU sues 77 staff over amending age. And then the Nation, Tinubu opposition plotting to stall inauguration for its interim government. And the Daily Trust as well from Nigeria. Real reasons APC won more states despite upset in presidential election. And the Daily News from Zimbabwe, import of the gold mafia on Zimbabwe polls. The Standard from South Africa, gold mafia ED's cornered allies speak. The Citizen from Tanzania, how government spent 20 trillion Tanzania shillings in 2 years on projects. So there's a breakdown there. So that is what we have on some of those newspapers from across Africa, and others from the UK. The Sunday Telegraph, European judges may be overruled on Rwanda deportations. And then the Mirror, also from the UK, Shally, I may never go back to Strictly. And then the Sunday Express, Rishi Crime Blitz to War Red Wall. So that is just what we have in some of those newspapers from Kenya and across Africa, and a few from the UK. Doc, back to you.
Thank you very much, Miriam Ogutu from Nairobi. Thank you very much, all of you. Shoni Wesonga, what is new? What did you have as an investigative journalist? What have you got on the radar? Thank you very much, Shoni Wesonga. Take the microphone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Masanga David, and our viewers and listeners and participants of this particular conversation. Of course, much is happening across the continent of Africa, and much has to do with the conversation that we are having regards DR Congo conflict. And of course, we anticipate that global international leaders as well as local leadership is going to come together perhaps sometime this week to be able to discuss the peace process that is ongoing in Congo. Also, in Kenya, the breaking news currently is that the president is expected to travel to Belgium and Germany to be able to actually work on the bilateral relations between the three countries, the two countries and Kenya. That is what I'm gathering in the local and regional perspective, Dr. Masanga.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, let's kickstart our topic. Miriam, do you have any background news, but any notes behind this before, or I give you time to prepare them, or you have them at all?
Yes, I can do just a quick introduction, Doc, and then I'll just have you start us off. And of course, the resource curse that is often referred to as paradox, that countries with abundance of natural resources often fail to grow as rapidly as those without such resources. And sub-Saharan Africa typifies this situation in that its economic development lags behind the rest of the world in spite of its wealth of oil, gas, and other mineral resources. And today, as we have this conversation, we shall be focusing on a few such countries like Nigeria, like the Democratic Republic of Congo, like Mozambique, and also these countries have with these natural resources have been able to attract a lot of conflict and turmoil in different parts of their struggling, and also South Sudan. So we shall be looking at these countries, and Uganda also, which has just discovered some of this oil. So we shall be touching on these countries as we go on along the conversation, Doc. Back to you.
Thank you
Doc.
very much, Miriam. That is, we have several countries on the African continent that have actually discovered oil, and some have oil already. But there is always a problem. Mr. Zimbabwe, you can come in quickly. I know you are waiting to make noise on the gold scandal. You have been waiting for a long time. Come in quickly. You are welcome, my brother. I always want you with your good voice, Mr. Nice from Zimbabwe. Miriam, you've dropped again to a speaker. Okay, I don't know. But thank you very much. Let's start the game and let's see who can start us. Boaz, your hand, you are the first man on this platform who put up your hand. Is oil a curse or a blessing to Africa? Take the microphone.
Yes, good morning, Mr. David. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, and be closer to your phone.
I am from Nigeria. I'm from the eastern part of Nigeria. I am from the part of Nigeria that fought the war against against Nigeria. So back to the topic. Is oil a problem for Nigeria? I think the problem of Nigeria is not just oil. Our problem in Africa is bad leadership. Understand? Bad leadership. Bad leadership is the problem we have in Nigeria, and we have had leaders that have refused to look past the oil. All they think about is the oil, how to embezzle money, how to steal money, export the oil, and use it for their own personal gains. That is the problem we have in Nigeria, and it still goes back to the bad leadership. Because if I say the oil is the problem, Qatar has oil, UAE they have oil. They have made good use of their oil, while we here we have failed to make good use of our oil. In Nigeria today, we don't have oil. Fuel is still very high here in the country. Just this past month, we have scarcity of fuel in Nigeria. So, and the oil has done us no good as a country. And the thing still keeping Nigeria together as a nation is still the oil. Because if not for the oil, the Nigerian forces wouldn't waste more time or put up those resources to fight the Biafrans part of the country. So the oil is somewhat a problem, but I think it's more of a leadership problem than the oil problem. So this is my submission.
Thank you very much, boss. The leadership problem. Most of the African countries have a problem. But this problem, I've traced it back, I've looked at the formation of Africa, the partitioning of Africa. If you go back to the partitioning and research carefully, you will find that 3/4 of the African countries still have the colonial hangover. Someone is going to Britain to be given authority to lead his country after independence. Someone is going to America to be given authority to lead his country. So the problem of Africa is not the leaders that you elect, the MPs that you elect. It is the structures. We have very bad colonial structures. We have bad colonial laws that are still in place. And gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest. If you have a bad structure, you will elect a bad leader. If you have a bad structure, you will produce money will be corrupted and eaten. If you have a bad institution, we still have colonial institutions that petition the us. in Berlin put us at crossroads. African heads of state will be zooming in Germany. Look at we are still going to beg. We are begging. Instead of them being partners, we go to beg. We go to say, come and do this for me. Because they left the structures. When you hear that Germany is returning the head, or Belgium is returning the tooth of Patrice Lumumba, you who is on this platform, what do you think about it? That you come and kill somebody in Africa, you go to Cameroon and kill people, traditional leaders, chiefs, you cut off their head and take it to Belgium. You cut off their head and take it to German history museum. And after about 100 years, then you say, we are returning your head. You go and work on somebody's head. But how barbaric was this? What was it to show? These are some of the vestiges that are still on the African continent. Believe me or not, you can go and cast and stone and get these leaders, put them on a cross and throw stones, fight them until they come dead or they drop dead. The situation will not change in Africa until we go back and look at the structures. For example, Nigeria was supposed to disband after Captain Lugadi's agreement expired. Up to today, nobody is looking at that because the colonial master put in a program 400 years. I researched this in London. We were supposed to be colonized for 400 years. 400 years. We have just been colonized for 130 years so far. And it looks like the colonial master, like the French, don't want to go. Some colonial masters have come back with this infrastructure. For example, military bases. If you give a military base to Russia, they will come and say, we don't want you. We shall take you down. If you give it concessions to oil company X, Chevron of America will say, we want a share. These are the structures I'm talking about that are making everybody to become, that are making everybody to get very worried. Why is it that there is a situation of this nature happening in Africa? Let's get the second speaker, Wesonga. And then I will have Mr. Let me see the order which they came. Tama, Noor, Knife, Knife, then Sadiq. Tama, you have the mic. Tamas, are you going to speak? You have the mic. You are sleeping on duty. Wesonga, take it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Matsanga David. And to go directly to the subject topic of the day, is oil a curse or a blessing to African countries? Does it help Africa? I think I'll be quite straight to the point. When you do the mapping of the African countries that are members of OPEC, or maybe the oil-producing countries in Africa, you realize that there is a similar pattern of violence and chaos that have been going on for decades. And when you dig deep into this chaos, you realize that whatever is being hidden beneath the veneer is actually the scramble for these resources and oil in particular. Look at what befell Angola when they discovered that there was oil. We had a very, very long civil war in Angola. Look at Libya today. Why is Libya into chaos? It's because initially Libya had oil, and Muammar Gaddafi was not playing, or rather playing to the tune of the Western powers. Look at whatever is happening in Mozambique, in Cabo Delgado province. This was a peaceful province prior to the discovery of oil and the natural gases. And today it has fallen into chaos simply because of the same resources. Look at whatever tensions that were rising between Kenya and Somalia simply because of the maritime border issue. The bone of contention in this case was oil. Look at Nigeria, the Delta state of Nigeria, and Nigeria in general. We have no peace in Nigeria. And many, many other African states, Dr. Matsanga, that have oil, they do not enjoy the luxury of peace. And therefore, to me, in as much as oil and other natural resources are a blessing to the people who reside in those countries, they've not been able to actually reap the returns that comes with these black gold. And therefore, I will say that the repercussions, or maybe the consequences of them having oil, actually outweigh the benefits that have come with the same commodity, because most of these countries that have oil have become unstable. They have been riddled by corruption. They have been riddled by impunity. And these incessant insurrections of militia groups that have actually made the areas inhabitable. Today, as we are speaking, Cabo Delgado is a place that is deserted because all the people who used to live there were disposed, and they were sent away by the Al-Shabaab militia group. When you look in Nigeria, we have bandits today. We have a militia group that actually are scrambling and using money from illegal proceeds from the oil. We have people in Libya, the ISIS, that is actually using the revenue from oil to actually destabilize the country further and sharing these profits with the crooked leadership as well as other Western powers. And therefore, to me, when you look at the chaos that have been created by this oil, Dr. Matsanga, in the African countries, you cannot say that oil is a blessing to the African countries. It has brought us so many problems than the benefit that we would have expected to come from oil. You look at maybe comparatively at the Middle Eastern countries like Dubai, like Saudi Arabia, like the Emiratis, like the Qatar and Kuwait, you realize that these countries have tranquility. They are able to have a structured way of extracting this oil and being able to send it on exports in the Western countries and the rest of the world. And they are able to get the intrinsic value of this extraction and exploitation of oil. Whereas in Africa, they create chaos, and amid this chaos, they are able to actually loot this oil through the black market, and therefore the consequences become so big to the people and the local residents who stay in these areas that you cannot say that oil is actually a savior of the people. It's actually the beginning of the tribulation, Dr. Matsanga. So as I hand over the mic, I'll really say, in my opinion, oil has become a curse to the African countries, and it really does not help the African people, since we do not see the revenue that comes from it. This revenue ends up in the pockets of the few individuals who are in power, whereas the suffering that is brought about by these insurgency groups, terrorists, and other militia groups is actually felt by all and sundry on the ground. I submit.
Thank you very much, Sean Wesonga, for the submissions that you have made. Very candid, very straightforward, very well organized submissions that you have made. Let's look at people from oil producing countries. Nigeria, for example. Tama. Mr. Tama, you are on the line.
Yes, Doctor. Thank you. Good morning. And good morning, fellow Africans. I bring you peace and love this Sunday afternoon. Yes, Doctor. Again, once more, an interesting topic, a conversation that we must engage in and to enlighten and educate ourselves. You see, Doctor, this your question you put on the timeline. I don't know if it's a rhetorical, if we take it from a rhetorical point of view, or as an open question, because the narrative out there, or what the world wants young Africans to believe, is that our natural resources are a cost to us because we are unable to extract the value out of them. Therefore, it is a cost. But however, I don't see it from that point. In fact, it's the blessing to us, and we must be proud of all these resources because we can see the whole world beams to us. And for the fact that the world depends on Africa to survive, rather than Africa is something that we should, is something that we haven't still understand yet and take advantage of. So therefore, Doctor, at this point, we cannot say it is a cost, rather it's a blessing. The problem is that those who colonized us, those who put us in this predicament we are, they know things about us that we don't know about ourselves. Therefore, they always have steps ahead of us. Example, we during the Nigerian election, there was an expose. In fact, I've never heard of the mineral called californium. And now we now know that there is californium in Borno, northern Nigeria. The Nigerian public now has the information. What are they doing about it? That is the point we should be asking ourselves. Of course, we know the people has been made to be weak in cases whereby they can't speak for themselves. But however, those of us out there who is exposed, we now know this information. The problem is, how can we enlighten our people to understand certain conflicts around them? They should quickly know that, hang on, this conflict are not just sporadic, or perhaps there is someone stoking the fire underneath it. And this is very dangerous because this is why Africans, we rather go and study medicine. I'm not saying it's bad, study other fields, but forget that there is a subject called mining. There is hard mineral subject that we can still, uh, endeavor ourselves and look into. For instance, many Africans, when you talk about geology, we're not interested in it because we don't really, even I myself, of course, now it's late, but I wish I knew. Perhaps I could have taken the field of geology to study more about our earth and minerals and stuff. But these are things we don't know in Africa. Today, African governments are there going all over the place, but we don't even have a satellite. We are seeing foreigners scanning our territories to identify mineral deposits. But the African government themselves don't know. In fact, it is the foreigners that will scan and come and tell them that they want this part of the land for to do stuff with. And before I hit the mic, Doctor, just to say again, we are still part of our problems. With the undone Nigerian election, we just had a new expose that now they're packing the politicians to go to China to have meetings. What are they going to go talk there? You see, Doctor, this is the complex problems of we sometimes not to take advantage and answer our resource to our benefit. Rather, we let foreigners come in and make ourselves more weak. I think when it comes to our resources, I have moved away from the path of blaming the foreigners 100%. Rather, I'm now in the path of how can I educate my people from Patani local government and let them know that you are sitting on oil wells. It's either you know this, so when you start seeing the white people coming, you know what they are coming from. They're not coming for NGO. Rather, it's your soil they are coming to test. You see, I think this is time we need to educate our people all these little things because most of them don't know. When they see these foreigners come, they're just there, but they don't know that they are about to be chased away from that land. And of course, there will be the middleman Africa to collaborate with them. I eat my night for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tama, before I let you go completely or you stay on the line,
Yes,
I
Doctor.
want to ask you, I have seen photos, documentaries coming out of Nigeria
Yes, Doctor.
where people use canoe to enter their houses.
Yes, that is my region.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a fact, Doctor. For example,
I just no wait. I want to ask.
okay.
I've seen those documentaries. They make my I puke. You know, when a woman is entering a house, standing on a canoe, a boat, from water to the house. How do you sleep there? And then here you are in your opening statement. You said oil is a blessing. It's a blessing to us. The area where this water is, where this woman is the Delta region of Nigeria.
That's correct.
Where the oil comes from. But people have been milking this oil, taking it out in the name of Jesus Christ, in the name of Allah. Name everybody you want to talk about. They don't bring it back. They don't bring the money back to help people. How can a human being come from a boat and enter a house on water? You are sleeping. What about if the level of the water goes high? You are from Nigeria yourself. I want you to tell me what type of life is there, Tampa, in 1 minute? What is that life?
Okay, doctor, to start with, when we see these problems from this perspective, of course, it seems like a cost to the people. But for the fact that Dubai, Qatar, and the other Arab countries are doing well with their oil resource, I cannot say it's a cost to me. However, I will say what is happening is a deliberate conspiracy between our slave masters and the housekeepers to, degrade the place environmentally.
So you
zero
agree with me? You agree with me this morning when I wrote a long piece about structural challenges that the colonial master, our slave master, left behind to control us, isn't it?
Of course, doctor, there is the structure. There is a structure put in place. That's why our politicians will go to Palace de Église, Downing Street, and all these places to ask permission before they govern their state. Of course, we know there is a structure, but you see, the point I want to raise out is these structures that are put. One, they are breakable, but however, the problem we're having in Africa is we haven't, since the assassination of all those independence leaders, all those true leaders, to the last one, Sankara, we haven't had any replica since then. All the other people that has come are part of the game because they want to keep their head alive. I understand they want to leave, but when the problem of the Niger Delta is happening like this, I don't blame the foreigners alone. They are Nigerian middlemen that is allowing this to happen. And it is time we start pointing out those Nigerian middlemen allowing this to happen. Because if we don't point them out, we cannot be able to fight those outside. This structure can be broken. It is the middleman in Africa that is killing Africa. They are the one between the colonialists and the oppressed. It is those middle people. For instance, we saw the oil crisis Nigeria went through with petroleum scarcity and stuff. All those EU, America, all those people stealing Nigerian crude oil, they did not do that because it was easy for them to. They do that because the middleman in place, the Nigerian military is the middleman. The Nigerian politicians are the middleman. These are the people we need to be pointing out so the foreigners, their structure can be disrupted. Until we don't point them out, doctor, it will be the same thing. Thank you.
Okay, just a question for you. Did you know when you grew up? I don't know how old you are.
I'm 37 of age.
You are 37 years.
Yes, sir.
I think there you found when oil. For me, when I grew up in the 1960s and the late 50s and the 60s, I did not know that there was oil in my country, Uganda. I don't know about any Nigerian who is here, who grew up in the 50s, whether they knew there was oil. But there was Captain Lugard.
Yes.
You remember it was Lugard who coined Nigeria.
Of course. That's correct.
I think you know that very well.
That's correct.
He coined Nigeria. He put it together. He forced people militarily, fought some wars with the sultans of the north and coined it into one state. These guys knew that there was oil. These guys knew there was oil.
Doctor, you see, we have to see it from
In my country, just a minute. In my
Yes,
country,
sir.
Uganda, I have been sitting on oil without knowing there was oil. But the British, the French, and the other colonizers knew there was oil in Uganda, the Germans. In Kenya, the Kenyans who are here on the platform, Miriam and others, and a group of them, very many of them, Joroge, who will tell you they didn't know that there was oil in Turkana. All what we knew about Turkana was a misery. A state of misery had been created. And where you find in Africa, where there is a state of misery, underneath there is either diamonds or gold or oil. And that's why I've called this, is it a curse that you put on top? Turkanas in Kenya are killing people, taking their cows. Wake Pokot, that area has oil. Now you can't even drill the oil. You might not drill the oil in the future. In Uganda, Karamojongs. In Nigeria, the north part of Madiguri, those Madiguris, the states in the north, Kanu, Katsina, those areas, there is quite a lot of minerals. Some of them are now being discovered. But the white colonial master, slave trader, knew that all these things existed, but never told us that they did exist. So today, we find ourselves in a quagmire state, that we have started taking it out of the ground, but already we are in turmoil. Look at Somalia. Somalia is in turmoil. People don't want Somalia to be peaceful so that it can engage itself in drilling its oil. Because once you draw the oil in Somalia, Saudi Arabia might not have enough oil to supply the whole world. Because of geological movement of the earth, and so many other things. Read more books about this and research. You'll find that there is a curse somewhere, somehow. Tama, I will
Yes,
come back
Doctor.
to you on that.
Okay.
And I give
Thank
you
you.
another 5 minutes later to talk about, or 3 minutes. But
Thank
let
you.
me bring in Mr. Knife.
Okay,
Mr.
thank you,
Knife
Doctor.
from Zimbabwe.
Good morning, Dr. Matsanga. Good morning, my African people. This, so far, is the best subject matter I have experienced on Dr. Matsanga's page. This brings me to the posts which I put up on the top. I put 2 posts. I shared one of them with Dr. Matsanga in his DMs a few days ago when the news came out. So, guys, the people who we are calling our presidents, prime ministers, and our leaders, these guys who say they have fought the war for Africa, these guys who tell us that they are the ones who win our country for us, these guys, they went and they got an agreement signed on paper for independence. They didn't get the independence 100%. It was an agreement, right? And during the time of this agreement, these guys came into power and they mismanaged and mishandled the country and the economy, right? I'm going to give you my country, Zimbabwe, for example. Right now is a big breaking news article. Al Jazeera investigative report found that our president in Zimbabwe and one of these preachers, a priest named Preacher Angel, they have been doing the biggest gold smuggling operation, money laundering, in Zimbabwe for the past now since Mugabe was in power. They are bringing people who have got money, dirty money, which they cannot put in the bank, drug dealers, human traffickers. You go to Zimbabwe, you meet up with Dr. Angel. Dr. Angel, he charges you $250,000 to meet with the president, and then they will take your money, they will give you Zimbabwe gold. And they will even provide for you the mule who will fly with your gold out of the country to Dubai. And the mule already has the connections in Dubai to sell your gold and give you the money in Dubai and come back to Zimbabwe and declare $10,000 when he returned to Zimbabwe. What happened to all of the billions which they sold for that gold, he stayed in Dubai. This guy came home to declare $10,000 at the airport. And the crazy thing is, after he get off the aeroplane at Dubai, he don't even go to the bathroom. He doesn't go to drink water. He goes to jump on a second flight back to Dubai with another bag of billions of dollars of gold. Same thing, 2 trips a day. Billions, guys, I'm telling you, listen to me. You watch this documentary, will make you cry. It will make you cry, right? They're blaming it on sanctions. Our leader, he's on the news, all the ZANU-PF people, oh, sanctions are making us starve. I work with Amnesty International in New York City. The sanctions on Zimbabwe is targeted to specific people. It's not sanction which is stopping the country of Zimbabwe from trading. The country of Zimbabwe is trading. They are sending out agricultural goods. They are receiving. The story they are lying to the countrymen of Zimbabwe. Oh, the sanctions. But now Al Jazeera has shown us what is going on with the gold. So now it's the same story going on with the lithium. It's the same story going on with the diamonds. It's the same story going on with the agricultural products. Country was the richest country 43 years ago, richest country in the world. Today we have $100 trillion paper money. You cannot buy a loaf of bread with it. So guys, all of this which we're talking about, oil is great for the one who find it and the one who is selling it. But oil is great for those who are the ones who are still in power. Africa, from the time of inception, when the white settlers came, Cecil John Rhodes, you remember this name? That's the name of the devil. Cecil John Rhodes came to Africa in Zimbabwe. He see the big Victoria Falls. He says, I want to make a power company. I want to make electricity, hydropower from this big natural falls. Everybody said, you're crazy. There's no way you will get the electricity to go from Victoria Falls all over Africa. It's too big of a distance. And he took this idea. He went to England. He created a company on the stock market. The company is trading. The company has been trading. So Southern Africa is a company. It's one big BSA, British South Africa company. Southern Africa. Nigeria, same thing. All of the French countries right now, they are a company. They are owned. The people who we are calling our president, we are fighting them for independence, is the company manager. This guy has no power to change the company. He is protecting his job. If the worker reports the manager is doing a bad job, the manager will fire the worker before the owner of the company knows. That's why now you got the brutal African leadership. Anybody talks, like right now in Zimbabwe, they're going to start killing people with this Al Jazeera story. Because if you are found to share that Al Jazeera news video with anyone in Zimbabwe, you are going to be killed and arrested, right? So now we know the story. They're stealing gold and making billions every day. We know now. We've got it on video. We've got the people talking, saying it undercover. But if we try to share that video with our people in the countryside who have got no Twitter, and if they find out you sent that picture to the countryside to make the villagers know what is going on, your life is over, right? So we see the structure is that we are in countries that have a design of independence which goes back to the days of colonialism, and those companies which were running the continent, South Africa, they have a problem with electricity. How South Africa have the problem with electricity? These guys are the ones who have monopolized that electricity in the southern region of Africa. Our leaders at SADC are the biggest problem. This OAU, African Union, this is the biggest fuss, and it's a joke. It's like a baby shower party. Whenever they say OAU as SADC is having a meeting, these guys are going with bags full of diamonds. They're going to sit with each other in the hotel room, and they're going to go and trade with each other. My friend, let's look at Africa. Dr. Matsanga, look at the video.
My brother, I have opened the microphone to laugh loud. I laugh loud because I agree with you to some extent on the question of this AU. AU is what AU are talking about, my brother. There's no AU. AU needs. We need to change AU. We need a new, vibrant AU that can change things, that can protect Africa. You see, we need a new blood of people in the African Union. That's why Dr. Matanga and the former Minister of Foreign Affairs of Algeria, we have put our names forward. Let's go there. Let's go there. Let's try. Let's stop. Let them kill us on the job. But we don't have AU. AU is gone. Is dead. Mr. Knife, from my Zimbabwe brother, AU is dead. What you have said is correct. Morocco comes with money. Morocco comes with money and gives out money to every African Union head of. I saw it. I caught one Zimbabwe man, minister, called Mubebegwi. He was receiving $50,000 from Morocco. He was a minister of foreign affairs. I took a picture and I took to let Mugabe. And I want to thank Mugabe for having done the correct thing. He sacked him the following day. That is what we call good leaders. AU is gone. AU is just a building by Chinese, controlled by France, managed by German, operated by United States of America. Have you seen the combination? Yes. AU is finished.
100%, Dr. Matanga. You are absolutely on point. Keep going.
It is AU. Let me tell you. And a knife. I'm not going to. I am going to bring this topic of diamonds, of gold, and so on. A special topic on Zimbabwe. And I am going to be ruthless. I want you to join everybody very soon because it will be the thriller of the year. I want also to ask Qatar to explain to me, because this television comes from Qatar. Can Qatar also explain to us the human rights records? How many people died? How many people died in the stadium? What they made for World Cup? Give us our people back, whether they are Bangladesh, whether they are Senegalese, whether they were which country, Indians, we want them back. We want accountability. The problem of the people of Zimbabwe and the leadership there is playing with these people. I don't know if they play. The people who have taken gold must be brought. Now, if we know that Kamlesh took gold, he must be picked. They must be picked. There must be sanctions. You cannot just come and spoil the name of a country. But so your country is also naked. So for me, I don't do PR for people. And I've stopped doing. And I want Vahume to hear me, Vahombe, to hear me today. I have done free work for Zimbabwe for too long. Washaman, I want you to hear me. I want Mnangagwa to hear me and everybody to hear me. I've defended them for too long, for free. They don't pay my house mortgage. They haven't given me money to a farm in Zimbabwe. I've done my best for free. And when I warned them on things like this small boy here, where did you get a boy that a pastor dressed in that fucking dress? Why do you bring him in your country? Look at the name, the way we are spoiling the name. I warned these people. I'm not a child anymore. And I'm not going to do things for free for people. I've done enough. Vahombe, I want you to take that message. Matanga warned you. I can neutralize Qatar. That Al Jazeera is a station full of lies. We know what they do. We know what Qatar did not tell us how many people they killed before they built the stadiums.
But the problem, Dr. Matsanga,
No,
these
wait.
guys.
I know you are. I am not on either side, and that's why. Have you ever heard me talk like this? Today I'm talking, isn't it? Are you not happy a bit that I'm criticizing my own friend for having allowed this type of stupidity to operate in his country? And I have picked the phone and I told him, you have annoyed me. You have let me down. He's my friend. He doesn't feed my family. He doesn't feed my family. He doesn't give me money to feed my family. But Qatar does not also stand good character. We want also to do a documentary how Qatar killed people and buried them under the stadium in a rush and no compensation. Over 2,000 people lost their lives. We want to know whether these people have homes or no compensation. Where's the compensation? I'll take the battle. Again, to stand up for Zimbabwe. Again, to stand up for Zimbabwe. Let Kiwenga and Mnangagwa hear me. I've always stood by you. But you are using wrong small boys to run around the world that they can do PR. Look at what you have brought to your shame. Look at the shame you have brought to us. Look. I'm not very happy. I'm not very happy. I'm very disappointed. Bahombe, I'm very disappointed. And take this message. What the hell do you do these things? I have suffered for this country
Okay,
since 1998.
Dr. Matsanga, thanks, man. Thanks for airing your views. Thanks, man. I just came up here to respond to my brother that was speaking before you. It's called Knife. He's saying he works for Amnesty International. So I just wanted to correct the narrative which they are trying to sell to the people of Zimbabwe and also the world out there, which is largely a false narrative. Number one, Dr. Matsanga, I want you to know and to understand that Zimbabwe is at war. Is at war with the Americans. Is at war with the Westerners for taking its land, which did not go down well with the Westerners. And this war that we're seeing, that Zimbabwe is fighting today, with this so-called documentary from Al Jazeera, to those that have managed to watch that part one, that these some of these Zimbabweans are coming up on spaces, blowing things out of proportion. I just came up here to tell you that that documentary is just a documentary of nothingness. At the moment, there is nothing that we've seen there. The fireworks which they promised to the people of Zimbabwe, to the people of the world, we've not seen any fire at the moment. What I want to say to you, Dr. Matsanga, and to those that are listening at the moment, is that what my brother is saying, that these guys are coming to rob our gold and all that, I want to ask him just a very simple question first, then I can proceed. When you say that these people are robbing us our gold, my brother, is there any Zimbabwean or anybody in Zimbabwe today that has come up in that particular documentary to say that I'm missing my gold, or my gold was taken or was looted? Because as far as I know, gold does not belong, gold belongs to two people. Number one, the miner of that particular gold. Number two, the buyer of that particular gold, right? So for Zimbabweans to come up on spaces as if all of these people are miners of gold is actually mind-boggling, because the miner of the gold was paid the money.
You are
Before
trying to change. You are trying to
hold
change.
on.
You
I
are
think you
trying
had
to
your time.
change. Listen, you are
Hold
trying
on.
to change. We
Hold
all watched
on.
the video.
Knife,
We watched
Allow me
the
to
video.
speak.
Knife,
Allow me
knife,
to speak,
hold.
because
Knife,
we all watched that video.
Vahombe, hold
Dr.
the fire.
Matsanga.
No,
Yeah.
Vahombe, wait, hold the fire. Knife, you live in a first world of United States of America. You wait for the gentleman to finish his submission, like he waited for you to finish, then you rebut. You rebut. Don't interfere. Don't make him lose his line of
Yes.
thought. Proceed
Thanks,
and
Doctor.
prostitute your statement, Mr.
Thanks,
Vahombe.
Doctor. Thanks, Doctor. Thank you for protecting me. Okay. Right. So the documentary, we have all watched it, and we have watched it several times so that we can try to understand what's going on. And the majority of the people are missing the bigger picture that is actually at play when it comes to that particular documentary. So Dr. Matsanga and all other people that have not watched that particular documentary that are on this platform, you need to hear what I'm about to say to you, and you need to assess what I'm about to say to you and what Knife has said or what he is going to say. Then you will know what is the truth. Number one, if you look at the process of gold or how the transactions of gold are being done in Zimbabwe or anywhere in the world. In Zimbabwe, according to our constitution, which we love, the 2013 constitution, we have made a vast or a raft of laws to make sure that whoever that is going to buy the gold in Zimbabwe will be able to, first of all, obtain the right permits, the right licenses, right? So in this case, these people that they're talking about, these people that are coming to buy gold in Zimbabwe, they've got what is called gold buyer's license and gold exportation license. That's point number one. These people are legally allowed to buy gold in Zimbabwe and legally allowed to export gold out of Zimbabwe, right? These people have got all the documentation. And in this case, in this country called Zimbabwe, there is an institution which was instituted by the Act of Parliament, which is called MMCZ, the Minerals Marketing Corporation of Zimbabwe. In 1983, it is an institution which was instituted by Act of Parliament in 1983, which allows the exportation, which is the sole institution that is allowed by the Constitution of Zimbabwe to export the minerals of Zimbabwe, be it gold, be it platinum, be it diamonds, whatever the case may be. Now, this institution is placed under sanctions. Now, this institution, when it was placed under sanctions, Zimbabwe could not export its own minerals, could not export its own diamonds, could not export its own gold. Now, the government of Zimbabwe, in its wisdom, after realizing that gold is actually money, it must be shifted from MMCZ and be taken to be under the authority of the Reserve Bank. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe then formed a subsidiary company, which is called Fidelity Printers. This Fidelity Printers is responsible for the gold refinery and the printing of money in Zimbabwe. Now, this institution is the one that is responsible for licensing all the gold miners in Zimbabwe, the gold paners, the gold miners, and the gold exportation licenses. Now, this institution is not allowed to, because as you all know, Zimbabwe has got no gold market. If Zimbabwe mines its gold, one way or the other, the Zimbabwean gold is going to find itself at the London Bullion Market Association, which is in Britain or in England. So One way or the other, what you need to know is that Fidelity Printers has got the right to export Zimbabwean gold. But because of the sanctions that are on Zimbabwe, Fidelity as a subsidiary company of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe is not allowed to be listed on the London Bullion Market Association, which is the biggest market in the world of gold. And when you then see these people coming on this platform, trying to blow everything out of proportion, trivializing the sanctions that are on Zimbabwe, is just unacceptable and unimaginable. Now, this institution called the Fidelity Printers, it has got the right and the authority to issue gold licenses in Zimbabwe to the gold buyers and to the gold exporters, because itself as an institution is not allowed to export this gold from Zimbabwe because of the sanctions that are on Zimbabwe. Now it has given the right and the authority to individuals that has got the capacity to buy gold on its behalf and sell gold on its behalf. And this is what is actually happening. These guys that are coming from Dubai, these guys that are coming from all over the world, they are coming to Zimbabwe because the new government said Zimbabwe is now open for business. And Zimbabwe is now open for business for any businessman that comes to Zimbabwe and show his capability and business acumenship. So in this case, for you to be able to be awarded this particular license, there are certain amounts that you must possess as a company or as an individual to prove that you have got capacity to buy and export gold from Zimbabwe. And in this case, for instance, if you talk about Patni, Kelmesh Patni, the one that you were talking about, the guy that came from Kenya and now is in Zimbabwe and now is also doing this gold exportation business. There is a guy that was interviewed who is actually his accountant. This guy that was interviewed, he said what Patni does is that when he comes from Dubai, he gets to Harare International Airport. And when he gets to Harare International Airport, this is the part that this guy was misleading people, that I'm now explaining to you how actually it operates and how it functions. This guy, when he gets to Harare International Airport, he comes with around about 100,000. When he gets at the Harare International Airport, he declares that he's come in with, he declares that he has got 1.2 million or around 2 million US dollars. Because when the license that he holds as an exporter of gold, it allows him to have a certain threshold that you must have certain millions, right? Now, when he comes into the country, if he declares that he has brought 100,000 into Zimbabwe and he wants to leave Zimbabwe with gold that is worth 1.2 million, the government of Zimbabwe is not going to allow him to do that. Now, this accountant that was interviewed by Al Jazeera, he's saying this guy comes with 100,000 and he declares that he has brought 1.2 million. He goes into Zimbabwean market, because into Zimbabwean market, people knows very well that transactions cannot be done internationally because of the sanctions that are on Zimbabwe. He goes and talks to the people that are in the market of Zimbabwe. He raised the 1.1 million in Zimbabwe. He buys the gold that is worth 1.2 million. He leaves with the gold that is worth 1.2 million after paying, number one, the gold producer. Number two, Zimra taking its own dues, which is the tax, and Fidelity Refineries taking its own dues, which are the royalties that belongs to the government. Then they clear the gold, he leaves with the gold. Now, when he gets to Dubai, he is going to sell the gold on the Dubai market. After that, the people that have given him money in Zimbabwe, the 1.1, he is going to do the transaction in Dubai and make sure that these people, they get whatever that they're looking for. Whether they want to buy cars out of Zimbabwe, whether they want to buy whatever that they're trying to buy out of Zimbabwe. Now, at the end of the day, this,
Dr. Matanga,
hold on, let me finish. Hold on, let me finish this part.
We can't let this guy
now
keep
this is what these guys in Al Jazeera are labeling Hawala. right?
This
This
is
is what
life.
they are calling Awala money
Nice.
laundering and all
Hold
that.
it.
That's
Bahombe, proceed.
what-
Proceed
This is
and
life.
finish.
so
Nice. Nice,
this
please.
journalists. This is what these journalists at this Al Jazeera are labeling Awala money laundering and all that nonsense. Notwithstanding the fact that the FBI agent that is there in that particular documentary is telling you that we are the sanctions of United States that are on Zimbabwe is to remove Zimbabwe from the international financial institutions. They're telling you that, but you're ignoring that fact. And they're telling you that the sanctions which they've imposed on Zimbabwe are the ones that destroyed the Zimbabwean financial system, are the ones that destroyed the Zimbabwean economy. And all these people are ignoring all that. What they want is that this guy that is coming to the country, by anyway, what you guys do not know is that a country is not worried about the money that is coming into the country. There is no country that is worried about that. With how much have you declared that you are coming into the country? The country is worried about the money that you'll be declaring that you want to take out of the country. That's what all these nations are actually, that's how they are designed. So if you say you are bringing 100,000 in the country and you want to live with gold that is worth 1.2 million, the government is going to ask you, how is it possible that you brought 100,000 and you want to live with gold that is worth 1.2 million? Tell us what is going on here. That's why these guys, when they're coming in, they're declaring that they've got 1.2 million, right? When they've got...
Bahombe,
Pardon?
my brother,
Yes.
I am with you. And
Right.
I understand. I think I understand the system of Zimbabwe very well. And
Yes.
all what you are explaining here, ladies and gentlemen on the platform, is correct. I do understand the system of how.
And also, Dr.
Wait,
Matsanga, the other
wait,
part that
let
I want to act. Okay.
Let me help you. Let me help you here. It is all correct that you cannot, Zimbabwe, and a knife, just wait. I want to tell you frankly, both of you. If Zimbabwe is selling its gold, I'm one of the few people who want Zimbabwe to bust the sanctions. And therefore, Dr. Matsanga Knife, I want to call you for a showdown. The only thing that I am not happy with are the characters that are involved in the buying of the gold. But I'm 100% behind the people of Zimbabwe to smuggle this gold and sell it somewhere if it can get them medicine. Tell Mnangagwa that way. And
The
tell
problem,
Chiwenga.
the problem
No,
is that
wait.
it's not helping.
You'll speak. Tell the two bosses that Matsanga, they know me. I'm their friend for over 25 years. They know me and I've spoken. Bust the sanctions. If you can find a way of selling these diamonds, this gold, to help the people of Zimbabwe, do it. You cannot enslave people. You America, you tell people that Zimbabwe should not sell its gold. Who are you? Is it yours? The only problem I have is this, and I'm going to make a public statement on this. That in Zimbabwe, these small boys running around, whose party is going to fail in elections, running around begging George Soros for money. Knife, I hope you are not also begging George Soros for money. I don't like to hear that.
The institution that Matsanga, the institution that is coming from is from George Soros.
Bahombe, hold your fire. I am the one speaking here. I have defended Zimbabwe out of very difficult conditions beyond this. This is nothing. I'm going to bring one documentary on Qatar, one documentary, and I'll finish Qatar. Qatar has to give me 2,000 people, the names of the 2,000 people who were killed when they were building their stadiums. If they don't produce, my friend, I also worked for I'm an investigative journalist, very deadly. I am the one who made Ponte Clark to resign. Have you ever made a person in the world to resign? This Matanga has made. I'm the one who finished Ocampo until he was caught as a thief in FIFA. I stopped ICC from taking wrong people. I am going to land on Qatar. Qatar is involving itself in our affairs in Africa. Too many things. In Congo, they have run there with their council, those long clothes, running around. You run around, you sponsor terrorism and run around to make people think you are worth it. We are not going to keep quiet. You sponsor terrorism. You are sponsoring terrorism. You're killing us Africans because you have the money. We are coming for you also. Qatar is not a place for me. Just the Bahombe today and other people listening. Take this clip to Mnangagwa and the Kiwenga. Tell them I'm taking them on. This question of fictitious. If you are selling your diamonds, what's wrong? What's wrong? What is wrong? What has Zimbabwe done to be stopped from selling its diamonds? Are they yet? Are these diamonds in California? Are these diamonds in New York? Rubbish. Rubbish. Are they in New York? The only problem I have, knife, is the type characters. The character like that small reverend calling himself Jew reverend what? Stupid people. Look at his body. He can't even convince anybody as a diplomat. Stupid. Very stupid.
Doctor,
Those are the people I don't want near Mnangagwa anymore. And I'm going to say, for me, no way to wear knife. Don't cross my line now. I will say it. Me, I don't care. Vahombe, have you heard me? You have listened, isn't it? You have listened. All of you Zimbabweans on the platform, you have listened. I have no mercy with these small boys surrounding near the president. Stupid. They better get away. They don't know where we have suffered. How I have suffered. How I was going to be killed in London. How my family was going to be killed because of Zimbabwe. You don't know what I've gone through. How Scotland Yard had to keep me a guard of my family in my house for 5 years because of Zimbabwe. And then you come here, you say you are reverend with stupid suits from a calico shop that you are selling. These are the people I don't want near there. We are coming ourselves. We want to save this country. If it is selling gold to bust the sanctions, let it bust it. Come on. Bust the sanctions. The gold is not for America. That gold is not for America. Is it American gold? Is it British gold? Huh? Is it French gold? It is for Zimbabweans. Tell him and give this clip to Mnangagwa today. I'm going to send it also. I don't take prisoners of stupidity. This Patini, why do you allow him to come there? This is a thief from Kenya. Why do you allow him? Kwenda. Shamar, Aiwa. What is going on, you people? This man has fleeced the countries here under the pretext of a Bible. That he has a Bible. Eh? And you allow him to sit in your country? Let me find him there. I'm coming myself. I'm not a Zimbabwean, but I've suffered for Zimbabwe. I've suffered. Let me tell you, I'll stand and I'm going to challenge Qatar to produce the names of the 2,000 people who died when they were building stadium. Produce them. Don't bring this thing of you people allowing opposition to run around, collecting now knife. You have also don't reason like a baby. Reason like a shoot man.
I'm
Like
trying
me,
to
I don't
respond.
reason like a baby.
I'm trying
The
to
gold
respond.
belongs to Zimbabwe. Condemn one thing. Don't condemn the busting of sanctions. Condemn the people who were handling, maybe, but don't condemn if gold is being sold. There is a system to buy gold. Let Zimbabwe sell its gold and let this money return to Zimbabwe. That's all I'm going
Dr.
to say.
Matsang,
Yes.
Dr. Matsang,
No,
what
you
And
have
what
thank
you
already
you
what
very
you
much.
spoken.
what you are
Vahombe,
not
you have
getting
1
here.
minute, and the
You
knife,
have
you
Yes,
have
already
it's
1
fine.
minute
spoken.
to
You have
Okay, no,
already
it's
finish.
fine.
spoken.
I want to go to the topic of oil.
Okay,
Is it
you
a
see
curse or a
what is
blessing?
happening here, Dr. Matsang, is that we have got the United States, which is very angry with
You let this
Zimbabwe
guy
because
tell
Zimbabwe
lies, man.
is now
I'm not
busting.
giving
giving me
you time.
nah.
Can you allow me to speak, right? So, Dr.
Speak and
Matsanga
finish
and the
quickly.
listeners that are here,
Yes,
okay,
Chairman.
yes. So, we have got a United States that is very angry with Zimbabwe, with the fact that their sanctions which are on Zimbabwe are now being busted. And the way they are being busted, it is looking like they are going to be defeated at their own game by the new government of Zimbabwe. Now, these people, through their agencies, they go to CIA, to FBI, to what's the name, to Al Jazeera, to sponsor a documentary that plays a mudslinging game on the government of Zimbabwe and the senior government officials, because they are no longer seeing the transactions as they used to do previously with the Mugabe government, where they used to block transactions that are supposed to go to Zimbabwe, transactions that are supposed to go to MMCZ and all those other institutions in Zimbabwe. Now, this time around, President Mnangagwa came up with a strategy of busting these sanctions and make sure that we sell our gold. After selling our gold, we make sure that we utilize that money for our own infrastructure development. I think to those that have been watching what is happening in Zimbabwe in terms of road construction, in terms of building of new infrastructure in our Zimbabwe, in our own country, building new dams, new water bodies, and all that. Hold on, my brother. You have your time. You have your time. Just hold on. Right? So we have got this problem in Zimbabwe. Now America is selling its anger to our own people through these so-called documentaries. And we have got people like Knife that are actually working for institutions that are being sponsored by these so-called George Soros to amplify the anger of America on public platforms, on these international television institutions.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
So
Vihombe,
so that's the reason why I requested the mic.
Wait. Vahombe, Knife will meet Masanga. I am here. You can't touch Zimbabwe when I'm around. No, I don't care. I have never benefited a penny. You will never find me by CCTV that I was given even a 10. But you can't touch Zimbabwe when I'm alive. You'll only touch it when I'm dead. I am going to finish this debate. Even the second part will not appear. Watch my international contacts. Ask Jangara if he came back on the grave, from the grave. You will see me. Go and read Changarai's book. I'm not a simple person. You cannot bring... Zimbabwe is selling its gold. Shaman, knife. Can you go and get... You live in Texas. Go and get some oil from Texas and sell, and we see if America will not beat you up. What's your problem, you people? What's your problem? Zimbabwe, well, you see, you can criticize the people handling the gold, like that small reverend or pastor, stupid. You should not even be seen near the president. There are some people who should not even go near the president. I was a PA for Dr. Milton Obote. Look at me. I will not allow such stupid people to walk near the president with those torn silly suits. That what fucking. I will not allow. I will throw them out of the office. You walk near Obote when your shoes are not polished. You know? Don't allow such people to come near the president. That's what we were going to do. But if the government is doing a good job by busting sanctions, bust them. Yeah. It's your gold. Do you have your gold? Where knife? Where Shamari knife? Is it your gold? Is it not your gold in Zimbabwe? Why should
Okay,
you allow an American to stop you from selling your gold? Shamari,
Doctor,
yes, now
on the
talk.
top,
I've
on the
given you a
top,
platform. Talk
okay,
for 2 minutes.
on the top, everyone on this space right now, on the top, the first post on the left-hand side, if you scroll to the left in the nest, I posted the statement that came from the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. This is when this Al Jazeera documentary was being talked about. The Reserve Bank came out and they printed this long statement. It's up there. You can read it. I knew this. Everybody knows that the sanctions in Zimbabwe are not on the country of Zimbabwe. They are targeted sanctions. You have to understand the English language. This is a confirmation from the Reserve Bank statement on the top with their logo, where they are saying there is no sanctions on Zimbabwe. Okay? That's the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe saying that on a statement. I didn't print that myself.
You are
right?
misleading
So,
people. They are saying there are no international sanctions, which is UN sanctions. Not that there are no sanctions on Zimbabwe. That statement, don't mislead people. That statement is saying there are no international sanctions, UN sanctions. Not US sanctions. US sanctions are there on Zimbabwe.
Order. Knife is on the floor. Just give him a chance to execute his points home. Knife, finish in 1 minute.
At the end of the day, we watched the documentary. Everybody watched it. Everybody's got their own interpretation. I have got recordings of the three main people who are implicated in this yesterday. Those three people who were implicated, they had what they thought was a private meeting. They were sitting in a private room.
Who are the people?
Listen,
them.
I will send you the tape. You will hear it yourself, my friend.
I've seen the tape.
I have
now also, through my contacts in Al Jazeera, obtained the footage. My friend, you don't joke with us also. I've obtained the footage through my system in Paris. I was working on it the whole of yesterday, the whole night. We have got the footage. So who are those names?
Well, listen, my friend. What I'm trying to explain to you is that we had the video which was done by Al Jazeera, part 1. And the three people
part 2. There's part 2, which is more deadly.
Listen, the three people who have been implicated so far, the three top people, they had what they thought was a private meeting yesterday. They were trying to figure out, like, what are we going to do about this video? They thought they were in a private meeting, just 3 of them. When the meeting was over, there was a release of a voice recording, which someone who is very close to them, who we will never, ever disclose that person's identity, who is working with them, managed to get the recording. That is a new bombshell right there. That is the next bombshell. On top of this part 1, we've got the 3 people who were implicated, top 3 people, trying to have a conversation private, saying, how are we going to get out of this? What are we going to say? And they were being recorded. I close my case.
I think you are closing your case in the abstract. Are you flying on the anti-hero and then come back? You have gone clandestine also. You want to use Mnangagwa's voice. And we don't, you think you and the Kinono, we don't know you. We know what you do. But you don't, the knife, I thought you were a very good man. And I like you so much, Shaman. Shaman, you are Mukwasha. From Marondera, I am a friend, I'm a relative of the people in Marondera.
We
So
don't have to
please,
be
don't do
enemies.
these things. Don't
We
bring
don't-
the Mnangagwa's voice, Kiwenga's voice, and then use them in American studio and bring these things don't work. The best point you can make today, and I want Zimbabweans who are here to know if Zimbabwe is selling its gold, diamond, let them bust the sanctions.
And feed
Full
the
stop.
people. Feed the people while you're stealing. That's the main problem. They've been doing this long enough. The country, there's no running water. There's people who
Dr.
cannot
Matsanga,
flush
can
the
I ask
toilet.
this
Running
guy,
water
Knife?
in the running water in
Knife,
Harare is the
Knife, I've got a
MDC.
question for
Is
you.
the MDC
Is
councillors.
there,
Hey, Vahombe. Don't
is
I
there
know
any
everything
Zimbabwean
there.
that is saying his or her gold was stolen? That you are saying that they're stealing the gold, right? Is there any Zimbabwean gold producer that has come out in that documentary to say that he or she has lost a gold, or
That is
he or
that
she
is not a, that is
supplied
not okay,
their
Mr.
gold
Vahombe.
and
Just
they were
leave
not
it there.
paid their money?
Mr.
Is there any
Vahombe,
individual?
Vahombe, leave it there.
Yes, doctor.
Don't give too much to Knife. Knife has run away. You have made Knife to run away. He has run off. He can't hold the fire anymore. Let's go back to our topic. The Zimbabwe gold, I'm going to bring a special program. Now let's go back to our topic. I am sorry, ladies and gentlemen, those who came on the platform to discuss. Knife has run away, or Knife, why are you running away? Come back. The people, the hot seat is hot for you, so you ran away. But I want to tell you on question of the gold export and so on, for me, Zimbabwe should bust the sanctions. Don't waste time. And I'm going to write it publicly. What will America do to me? I don't need education in America. I finished. I have six degrees. What do you want from me? Do you want another one? I can go. What do I need? I don't need anything. Yes. But if
So
I'm
on the
Zimbabwe,
topic, Dr. Matsanga, on the topic,
no,
are
wait,
you
wait.
aware that
People
there's
will
oil
think
in
I have
Zimbabwe?
given you a lot. Please,
Are you
I'll
aware
give you a
that there's oil
platform.
in Zimbabwe?
Let's come back to the oil. Is oil a curse or a blessing? Lukwago,
Yes. Okay.
Mr. Lukwago.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for giving me the opportunity to speak. Is oil a curse or a blessing to African countries? Does it help Africa? No, it has not helped Africa, and it is 100% a curse. Doctor, we have weak economic performance within oil-rich countries. Okay? Those countries are rich in oil. And Doctor, for as long as an African leader gives rights to the so-called superpowers, they will let him or her to rule the way he feels like. Talk of this man from Equatorial Guinea. He has ruled that country since 1979. Whenever those Western power feel like he is embarrassing them, they try to confiscate some of the luxurious properties of his son. But they have let him to rule simply because he gave them oil rights. I was told by one of my elders called Mr. Rutu Mukasa, who was on a certain radio station called Birari FM, that upon Mr. Museveni capturing power in Uganda, a British man approached him and actually was like ready for a deal. He made it clear to him that in Uganda there is oil. if you give UK rights to that oil, UK will let you rule Uganda the way you feel like. Doctor, there is a journalist who died in a road accident yesterday at around 7 a.m. called Edward Muhumuza. But in his last days, he spent time actually interacting with people of Bunyoro. Those people he was interacting him, questioning them, asking them how they are coping up with life. As he came back, he died mysteriously. Okay? But it is said that people living within those oil-rich areas of the Albertine region are going through hell. They are living in poor life conditions, poverty. Many were displaced from their land that is rich in oil. They were not compensated. Instead, were forced into IDP camps. They are living in internally displaced camps today in Bunyoro. But we're blessed with oil. Okay? The government has adamantly refused to compensate people. Many people were displaced from their Bibanja. I just watched yesterday but one. NTV, where people were forced into a camp where there are no toilets, no schools, no hospitals. They are yearning for what to eat. But instead they were just chased away from their Bibanja simply because they are rich in oil. Why can't government come up with a framework that can make sure that these people are first compensated before chasing them from such areas that are rich in what? In oil. Go to Nigeria. Go to Nigeria. How those so-called superpowers, per se US and UK, are facilitating Boko Haram with the help of some rogue, dishonest, corrupt Nigerian generals. And you happen to realize that Boko Haram is so effective in areas that are rich in oil. Go to Somalia, where there is Al-Shabaab. Al-Shabaab is in areas that are rich in oil. Why? And to make it worse, the UK, UN, and US, they connive with African leaders to create an impression that AMISOM is fighting Al-Shabaab. But Mr. Museveni comes out to complain. I'm limited from fighting Al-Shabaab. I'm only concentrated within Mogadishu. I'm not allowed by USA to go beyond. What does that mean? So, Doctor, oil is a curse to Africa. But if channeled very well, to countries that can use that oil very well, that oil resource, it cannot be a curse. But to Africa, the African leaders we have, they sacrificed our resources to the global powers in exchange for their longer stay in power. Like a case in study, Equatorial Guinea President Mbasoga, Simanyi Tiedro, Nguweme Mbasoga. That man, they blindly followed us with elections which they can easily manipulate into their favor using the military. So, like I heard you saying that you want to go to African Union, in that context of a Pan-Africanist, maybe that will help. But for as long as we have that so-called African Union, which I term as a club of dictators that sit somewhere, to abide by the orders of their colonial masters. And once they abide by them, they make life hell for the people they lead. Okay? Uganda, a country blessed with gold. Doctor, now to talk of Karamoja. Karamoja. the hell going on in Karamoja. And global powers are there in Karamoja. China, Israel, UK, US, they are there. They have turned the Karamoja into a battlefield simply because of its mineral resources. Oil, marble stones, gold, uranium, each and every mineral is in Karamoja. But Karamajongo are destitute within that region. Why? Go to Eastern Congo. Each and every mineral resource is in Eastern Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo. Who are those people facilitating the rebel outfits? They fund the rebel outfits to find clear ways of actually smuggling gold. And those people from Qatar, they should let us know how Congolese minerals do find their way to those Gulf states. How? Do they pay taxes to the Democratic Republic of Congo? For them to try to impose themselves as a mediator between DRC and Rwanda? Do they qualify? So, we need leaders who are really Africans, who feel Africa at heart. When Gaddafi tried that, the very African leaders fought him to his death. But they are blaming NATO. Yet they are the one who wrote letters to USA to come and deal with the Gaddafi. So, Doctor, I can rest my case as of now.
Thank you very much. Miriam, let's hear the voice of a lady, then we come to Morgan, and then we come to Kinonso, and then we come to Fish. Fish, you are fish. Now, we don't know whether you are a human being or a fish. Cecily Rhodes. Then we come to you. We want to close down. Let's hear from Miriam. My position on this question of oil is the more you discover oil, even Zimbabwe has oil at the moment. It has discovered huge oil. And you can see there is already chaos in the whole stock exchange about Zimbabwe oil, the speculations. What is the real thing that can help? Does it help Africa? If you have a country that has produced oil or producing oil, there is a turmoil. Mozambique, turmoil. Congo, turmoil. Chad, turmoil. Nigeria, turmoil. Let's go. Several countries around Africa. There is chaos. Libya is gone. Somalia is gone. What do you think we can do? Because I know your time is running out. Make your final submissions. Then you can as well call it when we finish within the top of the hour. We have 20 minutes to finish this discussion. Then we come tomorrow. It looks like the Zimbabwe issue of this documentary is paining everybody. So I will bring it tomorrow night. A knife, you open up your knives, Sicily and Behombe, and all Zimbabweans who are here. Let's fight it tomorrow. Let's fight it out. And let's expose Qatar also for the bad deeds that it has done on the world stage. You see, ladies and gentlemen, as Miriam comes in, wherever you see Qatar, and you people know it, Lukwago, there is France or United States of America. When you see Qatar somewhere, they are doing a bidding for France or United States of America. And when you see Total Oil, you know Mr. Qatar will be behind with Qatar Oil Energies. So those two work hand in hand. You remember when Saudi Arabia put sanctions on Qatar that their planes should not pass Saudi Arabia airspace. America begged Saudi Arabia to remove those sanctions. It was very costly for Qatar Airlines to fly out of Qatar, and the tickets went so high, passengers were fed up. Qatar was left because it was accused of being an axis of evil. So let's not operate as if Al Jazeera is God. They have not also investigated their own government for so many things that they do to the nationals, including the rights of the people of Qatar themselves, where they don't have the right to choose. At least for us, we choose the people that we want to lead us. Let me hear from Miriam as you make your final submissions.
All right. Thank you so much, Doc. And I've been listening to the great submissions that have been made by the previous speakers. But I think what is ailing Africa, the countries especially that have this blessing of natural resources that a lot of times turns into a curse, something that we're supposed to be benefiting and building our economies with and our people enjoying. Usually that is not the case. And specifically here in the continent, and as much as there are these outside factors that really act into causing chaos as far as this natural resources is concerned. And we can sit here and apportion blame to Qatar, to France, to UK, to US, and all these other countries. But at the end of the day, they don't get to get a hand of what is happening in our internal affairs without our permission. We permit them to come and do that. And I think at the beginning of this conversation, there somebody who raised an issue to do with bad leadership. So as much as it is true, they come in and they're involved in all this chaos and taking advantage of this our natural resources and all that. But it just boils down to bad leaders that we have unfortunately been experiencing in this continent. It is bad leadership, people who are there but have no intentions of serving the people. We don't have leaders here. We just have, corrupt individuals that we have trusted with these positions who have no interest, of what is best for their country. So they stand there as gatekeepers for these outside powers and outside factors, and our people continue to suffer. So bad leadership, bad leadership, bad leadership. I think that is the biggest curse we have in this continent. And then on top of that, add corruption. On top of that, add poor governance. On top of that, add poor management of public resources. So it all boils down. So as much as I'd like to blame these outside factors and actors, and as well we should, but at the end of the day, when it comes to international system, every country fights for its own interest. Every country tries to see how best they can use their influence, they can use their power, they can use their position in the international system to serve their own self-interest as a state. And unfortunately, Africa, we have not mastered that game that is played in the international system. So we are always crying as victims, and yet we give ourselves. Right now, so many countries are giving up their resources and access to, say, the Russian mercenaries and all that. Few years down the line, we'll start hearing these countries complaining, and yet they willingly, Russia, mercenaries, or any other actor from these foreign countries do not come in by force to gain access to these natural resources, but we allowed it. This is something that we have allowed. And international, in the international system, it all boils down to, to the state's interest and what you leverage as much as you can from the actors out there. So that is what it's all about. So one way they use that, because the issue of Qatar and Al Jazeera also has been talked about so much here, I think based on that investigative piece they did. We know media now has become a very powerful tool as far as foreign policy is concerned. And the Qatar is using, Al Jazeera effectively to propagate its own position and to propagate its own issues and to propagate its own interest around the world. And so, of course, we don't expect them to highlight the things that Qatar is doing. I mean, Qatar owns it, so there's no way they're going to expose what the government is doing there. But instead, they have crafted this powerful tool, and they have sort of, put themselves in this world platform, and they're able to advance their own interest in a way that, for those who understand, this is soft power here at play. And so they're able to use it. And at the end of the day, it is the interest of a state, it is the foreign policy, that they're able to attain. And so they're strategically doing this. And so we should be, of course, we should be very worried. And sometimes even some of these informations we get from this international media, not just Al Jazeera, even CNN and all these, BBC and the rest of them, they all have an agenda, especially these state-owned media houses, international media houses, they all have an agenda. And we fall prey to this sometimes. So I think information that we get from them, we should always have a filter and see, okay, so to what extent does truth being represented here? But to some large extent, a lot of these things are true, and I think Qatar does have very good documentaries. I won't entirely bash them on this one, and so it is easier. It is easier to fight the messenger, but can we go down and see maybe, these countries that have been mentioned, because a few characters also and personalities from Kenya have been mentioned. Instead of bashing that documentary, can we say, okay, this is what has been mentioned. Can Zimbabwe, for instance, investigate on itself and see, is there any truth to that, instead of just countering it like that? Counter it with your own investigation and your own facts. That is how you counter what perhaps you consider to be fake news, and all that. But I think Africa, we need to wake up, and as long as we keep apportioning blame to the outside players and the outside actors, I think we will never get a grip of our own problems, and we will never sit with ourselves and really try to find our solutions. And a lot of these problems, be it in the Democratic Republic of Congo, be it in Central African Republic, and Nigeria and all that, much of it has to do with internal issues that we must start to stop and look at and see how can we act on what we can here at home, and then see after that how we can address this external interference and outside factors that are also play a part in causing chaos in our countries. But we must start taking responsibilities. France, it left. It does not hold any colonies in Africa. The reason why it continues to act and have these relationships with its former colonies is because they have agreed. They have allowed France to do that. If they decided today, like the way Burkina Faso and Mali have decided, no, we need to change our modus operandi because how we've been operating is not working for us, and these other countries followed suit, then France will have no choice but to sit down and craft, together with these countries, new ways of working and having diplomatic relations. But if they keep coming out here throwing tantrums, and yet these treaties that were signed when France was leaving these countries are still legally binding, they have not solved anything. They have not solved anything. So we have to be smart in how we operate in this international system. Otherwise, we'll continue crying victims, and we'll go round and round and round. And at the end of the day, we're not finding solutions because we're busy pointing fingers. And yet we have the power to make the decisions, and we have the power to change how we're being treated outside there. And we have a say. Africa, we have a say. We are over 1.2 billion now. We do have a say in the international system, and we do have a power in our voice. We do matter, but we don't see that, and we don't hold ourselves to that magnitude. So we show up the way we show up, and the world treats us the way we treat, the way we show up, and that is unfortunate. But I think it's time we realized that indeed we do matter. Our countries do matter. What happens in our countries do matter, and we start acting appropriately. And we start changing some of these treaties that are not working for us. We start questioning some of these diplomatic relations that are not serving us, and we demand for better. And that is the only way we can find change in this continent. But most importantly, it has to start within us and from Africa and the kind of leaders that we trust with these leadership positions, Doc. Thank you so much.
Oh, there is nothing better than having my colleague Miriam always summarizing up a topic. She has done it so well that even me to add any other words will make it like a child play. But here we are. The oil is on with us. Uganda pipeline is going on. I was in Tanzania. I saw the digging of the pipeline, Tanga to Mwanza, the progress, the type of progress, the type of business, the type of expansion of Tanga port. It's huge. Tanga that I saw in 1970s and 80s and 90s is not the Tanga. It's coming up with exclusive high-rise offices that are coming up. That is a blessing for Africa. But when we have oil and the country does not have petrol, diesel, kerosene, then it is not a blessing for Africa. I will pick only two people who have not spoken, and that is Musa, then Mr. Nwameka Chinonso. Nwameka Chinonso and Musa. Just make your, then I come back to Knife, Vahombe. Oh, there is a man, before I come, that Fish, Mr. Fish.
Should I go on? Shouldn't Nemeka
No,
go on?
wait, Fish after Musa.
Before Nemeka?
Nameka, Musa, Fish.
Shouldn't Nemeka go on, please, sir? Or should I wait?
1 minute. You want to speak now?
Okay, let me just speak it. Just a minute. I don't have much. Just 1 or 2 minutes, please. Can I go on?
You have 1.5.
Thank you so much, sir. Please, I appreciate every one of you. I thank you so much. I thank every of you that have spoken, that show concern of African people. I thank you people very, very much. But I want to point out, because a lot of people have said a lot of things that is our problem. And my own position is that I don't know the possibility. Hence, there is still a lot of people, because I watch your program a lot, starting from when you talk to our leader. One time, from that time, I've been following you, but maybe you don't know. When you talk with our leader, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, I picked a lot of interest.
I know you. I know you very well.
Yeah. So I don't know the possibility, because the problem we have in Africa is leadership. And their problem there is corruption. They have corrupt mind, all of them. And this is their problem. I don't know if it's possible. Maybe some people can dedicate themselves. People that like and they love Africa. And they want to see Africa grow and become something in the future. If not, even this may come from different country in Africa, but these people will have to be the people that will go as a delegate to meet these our leaders, to teach them, because I don't believe they have that sense, to teach them that they cannot sow their future because of pot of porridge, because of list of watch or cup of tea. This is, in fact, sometimes you get confused the way the Western world is controlling Africa. I don't know, but I think inside me is because of corruption. They have been committed one or the other. That's why they cannot speak for their people. You will see a president, another president from the West is controlling them. You will begin to wonder what is going on. Are we still under the colonialism? You will just get completely confused. But my own point here, because you said 1 minute, is if it's possible that there may be some people that will dedicate themselves to teach these people, these are our leaders, just to tell them, it's better you stand for Africa. so that Africa will be great in the future. It's not good for you to sell your country because of one problem or the other. Because as you see, these people, they don't like us. They can never write anything good about us. Like I hear you people talking about documentary. There is no way these people can write anything good about us. When they came to Africa, they even claimed that they discovered us. But we are there before they came. But they wrote that they discovered us. This is one evidence to tell you that people...
Danyoke, what did you say? We were there before they came. Then they said they discovered us.
So this is a very something that when you think about it, you will get confused. This continue to go on, but I believe if some people, maybe investors, can just maybe 5 people can even dedicate themselves, go and meet all these African leaders and they teach them. Explain to them, don't be afraid of this. Even if you have already committed something, don't be afraid. Africa will stand by you. Let's chase these people out. Not to chase them out like that, because if you do anyhow, they will give you sanction. Look at it like we are talking about Zimbabwe today. Why do you think Zimbabwe is going down? Because they hate Zimbabweans. Not even the president. They don't want those countries. They don't want the citizens to be happy because of the blessings of God. They are not happy because God bless us, and they will keep on doing it and doing it. Economic sanction can kill a country. Nothing you can do. If they sanction your business, sanction your economic, your financial system, you are gone. You are gone. You can never recover easily. And this is why this is how America is destroying so many countries. See Libya. Libya is gone today. Any strong man that want to rise up from Africa, they will make sure they kill that person. And who do they use? They use us, because they cannot penetrate us. They must convince and use the willing tools among us, 1 or 2. If they use us, they will not begin to cause problem. Before you know it, there will be civil war. Before you know it, there will be a protest. Before you know it, and the government will say no. This one will say no. Go to Syria today. 10 years of fight in Syria. America is still occupying the largest oil field in Syria. Syria did not invite them. They invade them, occupy the oil wells in Syria. Up to today, they are still there. So let me end here.
By the way, but right, they are still taking the Syrian oil seriously.
Up till now,
Today, they are drilling. There is a report showing Americans taking the Syrian oil in tankers.
Yeah, control the
yesterday. It was only yesterday, Dr. Matsanga. They smuggled more than 80 tankers from Syria. Just imagine.
Iraq is gone. Why they destroy Iraq? Iraq is the second, the people that have second largest oil reserve in the world as of that time. But they, because of envy and the greedy, they destroy Iraq. And now they say it is a mistake. After you have killed 5 million citizens, not civilians, so, and the American die, 5,000 American soldiers die. We are not talking about Iraqi soldiers they killed in this journey. And at the end, what happened? They said it's a mistake. There is nothing like a weapon of mass destruction. They know, but they lied. And anything they say, the America said, the West will follow them. Just like what is happening in Ukraine today. Because Russia is not stupid to invade Ukraine. But look at what happened. They block anything news coming from, even you search anything from Russia and the Google, they block it. So that you will be hearing only their own news. This is a narrative. The narrative. All the media, all the Western media and the mainstream media, they are talking, anything they are talking is just propaganda. But that truth, you will find out what is happening in Ukraine. Maybe after 10 years or 20 years, you will still hear that they lied. They have killed a lot of people. People are dying now. Now, before they say Russia, they want to use nuclear weapon. Later, Russia said that Ukraine is planning to use dirty bomb. At the end, what happened? They denied. But at the end, what happened now? UK have openly said that they want to send the depleted uranium to Ukraine. Imagine. Now, if they use it that time that Russia was saying that they want to use a dirty bomb, they will say it's Russia. Russia have accused them that they want to stage a nuclear attack and put it on Russia. If they did it that time, but thank God that Russia got the information on time and they block it. Now they see that they cannot block it again. They don't know how the information leak. Now they want to make it open, that they want to send depleted uranium. If it's Russia that want to use it, you will be hearing it in this same Al Jazeera every minute on CNN. But because it's UK want to use this very dirty bomb in Ukraine, they are not, just see it only once. It's over. Nobody's talking about
Okay.
it.
Thank you.
It's better we find people that will be talking to our leaders in Africa so that they will know what to do to save us. And those foreigners that came to as ambassadors, they are not reporting anything good about Africans. For example, Catalina Line of UK, that is ambassador for UK ambassador in Nigeria. This woman now is even following to do campaign in Nigeria. She's even doing campaign. She's not saying, when they kill people in this election, you know what this woman said? This woman said that is very few people that was killed. Those very few people, are they not human beings? This is the report. The woman go and do back. That is very few people, that the election went free and fair, that everything went good, is only few people. Which means the few people are not human beings. They doesn't
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. A human being is a human being. There is no few people killed. Anybody, even one, is too bad.
They value us. That is how they see us. They see us as animals.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Musa, take 1 minute, please. Then we come to fish. I can see Mr. Jonathan Moyo here. Professor Jonathan Moyo. I would like to bring you up, sir, so that I hear your voice on this issue. As a political scientist yourself, like me, I don't mind sharing some views together. Thank you very much. Musa, tell us, you are from which country, sir? Musa, can you pick the microphone, please? Musa? Yes, Musa. Musa, you have a problem with your microphone? Okay, let me go to Mr. Fish. You call yourself Mr. Fish. Is there another name?
Oh, just Mr. Fish. Yeah, Mr. Fish will work.
Yeah, what is the other name? Are you a fish?
Yeah, I chose fish because it's like calming. I don't know, like just swimming against, the current. I imagine myself like a trout, like a salmon. But thank you for bringing me back up. I wanted to pretty much say that I'm a Russian living in the West, and I won't, try to say agree with the Russian or agree with the Chinese or agree with the American. But what I will say is that oil and gas, this is real good for the economy. This is what I believe God's natural resource. And one thing I will say that the gentleman said that they like to lie a lot, and they like to, make all kind of conspiracies. And so when Russia had this oil and gas pipeline, to Germany, Nord Stream 2 pipeline, what did the U.S. do? They saw that it was an advantage for Russia, and so they destroyed it. They took care of it. Like Joe Biden said, we're going to take care of the Nord Stream pipeline. So they took care of it. They removed it, and now it's gone. And now Germany has to. I talked with my German friend. He said it's so bad that people will not understand not last winter, but next winter. So I hope that Africa produces everything domestically. Hopefully they can get help. They can get help maybe from other countries, USA, China, Russia, to build that infrastructure, those modern oil extracting machines and whatnot. Because I love Africa. I never been treated wrongly by any of my African American neighbors here in America ever, and I love the African American people, and I never want to see them, suffer. And I don't want to see them being robbed of their own resources by Russia, America, or China, whoever. I want them to use all that profit for their own country and for their own benefit, and have their own people like working there and whatnot, and that's what I wish. Nothing but the best. That's all I wanted to say. Yeah, I hope that they increase the oil production and everything is going well. God bless everybody.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fish from Russia. Thank you very much, and I believe you are one of the ambassadors. Tell them I am here as an expert on ICC, and to send a message to Your Excellency, send a message to Mr. Putin to hire me to molest ICC. You have got the name on this page. That is me. This is this is what we call the kiboko of ICC in the world. This is the man who has molested that stupid, cantankerous, obnoxious court. So hire me. I'm looking for that contract. Tell President Putin to hire me. I will finish it. I will expose these warrants of arrest. Why did they not go to indict the president, that comic leader of Ukraine? Why? Is he using water to shoot? He's also shooting using bullets, which are copper. Why do you indict one side and leave the other? Hire me. Boss, you have disguised your name, but you know very well that my mechanism is KGB. I was also trained in Moscow. So don't worry. I've found out who you are. Tell him to hire me. You have heard that? Tell him to hire me. I am Dr.
Oh,
David,
yep, I heard it. Yeah.
Dr. David Matanga. You can send me an email or a tweet on my tweet. This is the guy. Just check the ICC website. You will see who Dr. David Matanga is. The man who tortured Ocampo, Besuda. I will now torture this Karim Khan. Bring him out until he leaves Russia alone. First of all, Russia is a member of the United Nations Permanent Security Council. Can you arrest Putin? What the hell are you doing? What? You want to bring a world war? You can't arrest Putin. Which jail will you put him? Which jail? So tell him to hire me quickly. Tell him the only man who can manage that job is he here, an African. Let him not buy any lawyer anywhere. I am here. Contact me. My organization is Pan-African Forum. My office of Nairobi. Give to Mr. Fisher the organization. It is me who finished the ICC, and I saved so many people in Africa. I've saved 2 presidents in Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, William Ruto. I saved them from life jail, life sentence. They were going for it. I saved Bemba. Babugo is my friend. He's come back. He has invited me in June to go to ICC, to go to Cote d'Ivoire I'm trying to wear my suit, the best suit, to arrive in Cote d'Ivoire. I don't know what present he will give me. I have defended Gaddafi, Said Gaddafi. I've done my job there. They wanted to take that man. I pleaded everywhere. I said, you have killed his father. Leave this man alone. Leave him. Let's spare that. And I want to take this opportunity to thank the British government for understanding me on this question of Libya. Thank you very much, Her Majesty. It was Her Majesty's government now, His Majesty's government. They understood the Libyan situation and they spared Gaddafi's son. This younger man was in London School of Economics. When I went there to give a lecture, that day he liked my lecture and I never wanted him to be killed. One day, you never know, he might rise up and bring back the kingdom of his father. I want to thank the British government for having been considerate, listening to my letters, reading my daily letters, many of them that I can officially put them out on the question of ICC. So on ICC, tell your president, hire me. I have all the Rome statute is in my head. Some lawyers go and quote the post. I don't quote, I quote from my head. I'll write a letter, one letter will stop the investigations. When did they carry out the investigations? Did they go to Russia? Yes or no? Have they ever interviewed any Russian official? Yes or no? Oh, I'll finish it. It will be finito. You can't attach him. I am the one who has defended all the Ugandans. Those who signed my agreement are back in Uganda. Those who refused to sign are serving, some have run away. But those who returned, 72 to 80,000 people, combatants, I returned them home. They are back. Uganda is peaceful. Only that it has no money. Poverty, corruption is rampant. But Lukwago will not say it's not peaceful in northern Uganda. You can sleep in the tree, under the tree in northern Uganda. But there is poverty. There is poverty. But we don't have any fighting anymore. There is human rights abuses that are being conducted. That one we must tell President Museveni to improve. He must change some of the things. So you tell your president to hire me. The names are there. I will send you my telephone number in your address, Your Excellency. Pass it to them. If they want to stop ICC, more so is coming to Africa. South Africa, and Ramaphosa has already, my man in South Africa has contacted me. So I am the only man who can haggle with this stupid quant of ICC, stupid. That ICC, what? Why don't you go and arrest people who have done crimes? Sarkozy is a thief. He stole Gaddafi's money. He went to use the money to do campaign in France. The court in France has found him guilty for having used excess money to campaign, buying voters. Now we Africans are here saying African Union. What my hell? Where is this African Union? This animal called the African Union. It can't issue a warrant of arrest on Sarkozy? You killed a country that was not begging? Now you have made it a beggar? Ladies and gentlemen, if your child comes home with a certificate that is reading international relations, tear it into pieces and tell him to go back. You will pay more school fees. Thank you. I think you understand what I mean. Cecil, this
Yeah.
name is very bad in my mouth. I don't
Sorry,
like it. This is the colonizer. You have become a colonizer also. Certainly.
absolutely not, Dr. Matsanga.
Okay.
I've taken your observations into account, and I intend to do something about it. Unfortunately, it's a legacy which I need to address. Obviously, my ancestors they were settled in Sierra Leone because they came from the Nova Scotia. So my great grandfather, who was settled there, he bear that name. But yeah, it's something I don't like because
Don't worry. Now come to the point. We don't have much
let me
time.
get to the point. I wanted to address this issue that you just mentioned about the ICC. I'm sorry. There's lots of things I wanted to address. Firstly, there was someone talking about Al Jazeera and Zimbabwe. I just found it ridiculous because we have lots of these agents that come on this platform, and they don't actually they're not actually serving the interests of Africa. They're actually an agent. They come and talk lots of nonsense. They fail to address the issues why Zimbabwe is where it is today. And they fail to address the reasons why the West has vested interest in ensuring that Zimbabwe continue to remain in the way it is. So some of them will come here, try to sort of like create an impression of Zimbabwe which is so distorted. They fail to talk about the fact that Zimbabwe has achieved so much in harvesting this year. Their wheat harvest has actually gone up quite significantly. They fail to appreciate the significant damage that is being caused by the sanction that was imposed on Zimbabwe. So they would rather blame Zimbabwe for its predicament than the instigators and the people who've actually caused the problem that Zimbabwe is facing. And that is what I find very troubling, because we as African people, we have to show solidarity to our brothers and sisters who are in distress. And lots of things I heard from this gentleman, I think his name is Knife or whatever he calls himself. I think he hasn't actually fully appreciated the circumstances that Zimbabwe is faced with. Zimbabwe was used as an example. They want to send a loud and clear message to South Africa that we are punishing Zimbabwe. If you try to repeat what Zimbabwe did, we will punish you in similar fashion. So that's precisely what they're doing. So they're going out all their way to ensure that Zimbabwe is not a success. So they'll try to impose as much sanction as they can until Zimbabwe is finished, but they will not succeed. And this is why I call on Pan-Africanists and I call on African nations for us to work together. Because if we have a united Africa that is actually in operation, when they impose a sanction in Zimbabwe, we can speak as a unified force of 55 nations. We could essentially say, if you're going to punish Zimbabwe, it's all or nothing. So either you remove the nonsense sanctions, the baseless sanctions, the ridiculous sanctions. And by the way, those sanctions were not on Zimbabwean government. They're against Zimbabwean people. So I would challenge anyone that would try to suggest the sanctions are not against the Zimbabwean people. They are against the Zimbabwean people. They're trying to force the Zimbabwean people to force their government to make a change that favors the Western nations. That's precisely what it is. So I don't understand why some people come here pretending as if they don't know exactly what's going on. They're trying to give us a very false picture. Al Jazeera does not represent African people. Al Jazeera is a Western puppet, is a Western agent, just like Qatar is a Western agent. Qatar is, look at the amount of human rights caused in Qatar, look at the amount of people that died building those stadiums, look at how much they're abusing African people working there. But they're not talking about it. Al Jazeera never actually has any article on that. But they would rather talk about Zimbabwe to paint a picture that Sorry about that. We have to try and look for the root cause. All right, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're muted.
Sorry about it. Yeah, I'll just say now we need to try and address the root cause of these problems, and the root cause is the West, America, United Kingdom, and all the rest of it. We need to address them, and we see what they did to Russia. They haven't succeeded, so we need to learn from this situation. They intended to collapse the Russian economy by imposing sanctions on them. So Russia is a template that other African nations, we need to look at and see what we can adopt from that in future. Because they thought the economy was going to collapse. Look at the Russian economy is doing pretty well. It's predicted to do better than even the United Kingdom's economy. So it shows that we can prepare for this. The United States is not all. We can ensure that whatever measures they impose against us, we can actually get past it, we can actually circumvent it, and we can continue to thrive just like the Russia Federation is thriving now. So that's what we need to do. Africa needs to discuss about this issue because they don't like us. We hear about the deputy president of the United States and the vice president is going to Africa. What is she doing there? She's not there because she cares about us. She's there because she's worried. The American authorities are worried that China and other states are developing closer relations with Africa, and they want to ensure they try to destroy it as in any way they can. So African people, we need to open our eyes. We need to realize what is going on, because sometimes our people, and this is a difficulty I normally encounter, they don't appreciate what's going on. They think Africans are to blame. They will blame every single African nation, and they'll fail to blame the people, the colonizers. They'll fail to blame the imperialists. They'll fail to blame the damage they cause into us. They will fail to appreciate our resources that are being stolen on a mass scale. So we need to find and deal with the source of these problems rather than trying to pretend as if it's the African leadership. I know the leadership have got significant problems. I'm no fan of the leadership, but many of these problems, we need to address the source of them. And the source of them is from these. So I'm Dr. Basanga, my next question is in relation to the ICC. I don't think it benefits African people. I think it's just a tool which the Western nations are using to actually target people from the global south or leadership from the global south who are not conforming to their message. So in my humble opinion, I think it's about time Africa as a continent, we have a debate as in relation to why our continued membership of the ICC. Because I don't think it's actually...
I have already had that discussion on this platform. Very many people came up. Maybe you missed that one.
Unfortunately,
Africa should quit ICC. There is no use.
Absolutely,
we are not getting any useful, added value.
Yes. Because Dr. Matsanga, look at what Tony Blair did. Look at what George W. Bush did. I mean, they committed one of the most horrific human rights abuse in Iraq. Over 1 million people lost their lives in that nation. None of them have been held accountable for their actions. We don't hear the ICC saying anything about it whatsoever. But look at now, they're trying to get South Africa. I know South Africa is going to be firm, just like it was in 2015 when they placed a lot of pressure on South Africa to arrest the Sudanese president. So South Africa is obviously al-Bashir, exactly. But so South Africa is not going to conform to their position. But however, this is unsustainable because according to the text of the law, South Africa has an obligation to arrest Putin. That's a fact. However, to avoid all this problem and to avoid nation, because I'm a strong believer that nations should comply with the laws and treaties. To prevent that, we need to get out.
Thank you. Thank you, Celsi. Thank you very much. Time is against us.
That's right. Thank you, Dr. Matsanga, for the opportunity to speak.
Thank
and
you
shout
very
out
much.
to you for the great work you do.
Tomorrow, don't miss tonight. Tomorrow at night, 9:15, the Zimbabwe debate. Qatar, is it a satellite state doing the bidding for United States of America on Zimbabwe? All right? Is that the debate? Is it a satellite state? Is Qatar and Al Jazeera satellite systems dismembering Africa? We discussed that debate. And Trisha, where are you? Trisha, you are the co-host tomorrow. You have to come in early. It is going to be hot. Mr. Knife, where are you? You are invited. Bring your MCC, MDC, or CCC. What are they called? Triple C. Bring them on board. Have the debate. Let's have the debate. Let's have the debate tomorrow. And I want to tell you, Bahombe, tell the president and General Kiwenga that as long as Matsanga lives, he's going to expose and go deeper. These are fiction. You have a right to sell your diamonds. You have a right to sell your gold. Nobody should threaten you. Are you selling American gold? Are you selling British gold? No. We must stand up. We must stand up and defend our countries.
Thanks, Dr. Matsanga. Thank you very much for standing for us.
Fish,
Thank
I've
you.
given you my number, Your Excellency. It is up to you to utilize it. If you want to stop this mongrel called ICC talk to Dr. Matsanga. I'm the only one who managed to rescue President Uhuru Kenyatta and President Ruto from the gallows of ICC. It's not a lie, it's not fiction. Check. You're a diplomat, you're an ambassador. Check with anybody. If you have not seen this voice, if I did not stand up, these younger men were going to be taken. They would be serving life sentence. But here I am. I'm proud. This is the only time that I have not been. I also need to gain from my work, isn't it? That's it. Thank you very much.
Dr. Matsanga,
And
so it's going to be at 9:15 in the evening, is it? African time.
9:15, which is 8:15 Zimbabwe time. Wherever
Okay,
you
no, it's
are,
fine.
if you are in Zimbabwe, South Africa, it is 8:15.
Set it up so that we can advertise the
It
platform.
is coming in huge number. Qatar
Okay, sure.
and Al Jazeera are they satellite systems against Africa? It is not one African country they have destroyed. Egypt ended up locking a Qatar. You remember that journalist? Forever. He's still in jail. In Sudan, Khartoum, they brought a coup. In Somalia. Now they are in Congo. Now they have gone to Zimbabwe. We have to catch them. And I'm going to help you to catch them. I'm a bad boy. What can they do? Do I need to visit Qatar for what? I don't eat mutton. I eat beef. Thank you very much. Let's now finish our point. Lukwago, where are you? I want to begin with Shoni Wesonga. Summary, 1 minute. Mr. First 72. First, Wesonga, you will come last. First 72. 1 minute.
Hello. Can everyone hear me? Okay.
My dear sister, I am sorry.
It's okay. I have to write my acronyms. Maybe she, her. It's that way. Everybody can know. But I hope everyone is doing well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I joined the space a while back when you first hosted this topic, and I didn't get a chance to speak. It's really refreshing, to hear everybody's perspective, and a lot of what I've heard is, it's very much a curse. I wanted to bring or play again the devil's advocate and how we can turn it to a blessing. I've heard a few people talking about how it's a blessing and then it ends up turning back to being a curse. There's some time back in 2015 that I discovered, very interestingly, that Guinea-Bissau is the only country that has the sweet refined oil. Much like the way Nigeria, I think it's number 4 in the world as far as exporter of oil is unrefined oil. I think that, so what do I mean by this? There's a technological transfer that needs to happen. I'm not sure that the Ministry of Petroleums and Ministry of Energy departments in much of our continent know how or have the know-how of the technology of refining oil. A lot of this oil, when it's taken away, it's processed elsewhere. And so there's that gap that happens. And I believe if it happened on the continent, that technology transfer would happen to make it easier for a lot of the countries that have that capability to produce oil and transport it outside. So that's my number 1 point. My number 2 point is bringing back vocational schooling. I think bringing back vocational schooling to training generations on how to process, for example, processing or refining oil can bring a lot of blessings to a lot of our countries. So I'm not sure that a lot of this is happening on the ground. But one interesting case is the Equatorial Guinea, because Equatorial Guinea is the same oil that is refined or brought from Syria or mined from Syria and Iraq is the same oil that you'll find in Guinea-Bissau, because it doesn't need to be refined. It is packed up, put up, and shipped I think Chevron, was able to come in and just buy everything because Equatorial Guinea just sold all of its assets. So, so interesting case there. So, yeah, with that being said, just a food for thought, but we can definitely turn it to a positive and a blessing. It's just how do we think about moving forward with our own way of just demanding that we have the technology transfer. I yield my mic and happy Sunday. Thank you.
That's very good. Yeah, you brought up something which I didn't know. Is there the sweet oil and the sour oil?
Pretty much, yeah. Refined oil and unrefined oil. It is known. Refined oil is known back in the day as sweet. It's sweeter oil. It's smoother. It's clear. You just get it from the ground, and you don't have to do much as far as processing it. So what happens is they just bring in their tools and extract it and ship it, much like they do in Syria. It's very seamless. A lot of the other unrefined oil is very tricky because, yeah, how you extract it, where it needs to be, the whole logistics is very, very tricky, but interesting stuff.
Very interesting indeed. You are right, very interesting. And I like your analysis, short, precise. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as Shakespeare said, there comes a time. Ngugi wa Thiong'o Kanga Nyimo, where are you coming from? Too late. We're about to close. Then some people are arriving on the scene. Ladies and gentlemen, Musa, I called you to take part. You didn't show up. Now, I don't know what I can do for you. Darwin, you always run away from my shows. You don't speak. Darwin Kashe, I've given you the mic now. Musa, I've given you, called you, requested you. Abidi, 1 minute each. Don't exceed 1 minute. Please. Ngugi, 1 minute each. If you see me interrupting you, it means you have gone beyond 1 minute. Abidi. Yes. Let me see the people who have come in. Nobo. Nobo, Nur, Ngugi, wa Thiong'o, and Musa. Why are you not picking the mic?
I salute you, my doctor.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon from me here. I greet everybody on this space. Doctor, I'm happy.
Remember,
though I
you
came.
have 1 minute. Don't waste
Yes.
it much on greetings.
No, I have just 3 things to chip in because we have discussed this matter previously. What I want is if Africans that are into, that God bless with oil, can properly utilize it, we need to go into revolution in terms of the engineers, those who read about petroleum engineers in different fields should come together. The African leaders should bring them into the forefront of organizing a revolution that will bring in expertise in terms of the machineries that can help Africa to extract the oil, refine it in African soil. Let everything be done here instead of taking the crude oil and refining abroad. So if the leaders can come together and put up all these engineers in different fields, let us start a revolution that can make our people to start to produce those machines, because they have been in the field, they have seen the machines. So why can't we do it? If it means working with China or any other country that can help to teach our people how to mold these machines so that everything will be done in Africa, it will reduce all the problems that Africa is going through. So second thing I want to chip in is, how do we stop the dependency on the Western world for everything? We have blamed them for everything. We have said that they did this, they did that. Now, looking at Russia, I have heard so many people talking about Russia. Let's Africa start to take the stand of Russia to defend themselves from all these sanctions and all the rest of them. And let Africa embrace each other, love their leaders. Whenever they lay sanction on any country, we should not allow it.
No.
Yes, hello, Dr. David Matsanga. This is a great topic. I'll keep it very brief. Africa has been a nation state since colonialism. Nation states were designed in order to exploit and to extract. So these nation states that we are in at the moment, it is doing exactly what it is meant to do. It is meant to exploit Africans and extract African resources. Until we go back to the drawing board and say to ourselves as Africans, what kind of governmental system, what kind of African democracy do we want to have? And maybe it may even come to very tough questions in order. Maybe it is, will nation states exist? Will these nation states as they are exist? Will we will we get rid of dictatorships? Until we ask ourselves these tough questions, then you can bring China, you can bring oil refineries, you can bring what you want to bring. But at the end of the day, the nation states that we are in at the moment, it is doing exactly what it is meant to do, that is to exploit and to extract. Thank you very much. I yield.
Oh, this is good. I think you should be coming more and more times on my platform. I like the way you bring out quickly and as precise. Within 1 minute and a half, you finished. Thank you, No. Africa was designed. As if you must have read my piece in the morning. It was designed to extract. It was designed for 400 years. You know, they planned 400 years that they will not leave this continent, extract more. 130 years. Now we are beginning to see feel the badness of imperialism. But extraction, confusion, bring chaos. If there is war in Africa, the oil is going. Who now talks? Where is African Union to talk about Libya? Nowhere. But the French are drawing oil. At night, they are taking huge oil for free. And we are here saying we are very poor people. We are not poor. We have just been micromanaged by external forces. Darwin. Thank you, Noor. Darwin.
Hello, Africa, and thank you, Dr. Masanga. Is oil a curse or a blessing? It is a blessing, but the way we depend or hang on the Westerns and the scavenging character of the Westerns on Africa makes it a curse. I give you an example. In Ethiopia and Ugandan, there is an oil exploration there. And there they establish one group called Ugandan Liberation Front. And this group, when Ethiopia starts to explore every now and then, is very active. It is making a problem there, sponsored by the West. Whenever nothing is done in the Ugandan to extract oil, you don't hear about this group at all, for example. So they make problems when we try to use our resources by ourselves. It was earlier our sister Fast 72 was saying in Norway they did when they found oil. What they did was
the American companies were coming to extract the oil, and they told them that we will give you 40% and take 60%. No, we take 60%, you take 40%. And then they negotiate their ways up to, no, or Norway takes 80%, you take 20%, for example. And then the work that they do in the contract they made is that when they do the job, they will hire Norwegian small companies, Norwegian experts. So in short time, Norway will extract its own oil by itself, 100%. Now Norway is rich. They don't use their oil for internal economic infrastructures. They use it out. For example, if you go in Apple, in banking, in different ones, they just invest it, that money. So the way we are mentored in a way that we have to change our way of life to the way that the Western are living, is that they're making us change our culture of living so that when they came Africa, it is suitable to the way they are used to, not keeping our culture, our way of living the way we want to develop. We're not doing that ourselves, and they're mentoring us remotely by human rights aid, like humanitarian aid, whatever schools. When you come here and you are strong enough to raise your voice, they see you as a threat, because you understand the things here, and then you're going to bring your expertise to change back there. That's the threat. You are not threat here in Europe, because that's not a problem. You're under a secured law. But when you go back, you will bring your expertise to aware the people to stand for their rights, how to exploit themselves, their expertise to enrich their countries with the wealth that we have. So as long as Africa stay wealthy and we don't exploit the wealth we have ourselves, it is going to attract problems, because we let the problems flourish than our interests. We don't stand together. We're fighting each other all the time. They make us, last time, Dr. Masanga, you host, where is the AU? I think I would like you to host one more moment, because I have been participating the last week in the UN for some things. I will have an interesting information inside through your inbox. But they are controlling the institutions we have, the companies we have, through different ways. And then at the end, they are the ones saying, you lead these things yourself, and then you were the one who dehumanized. We're supporting you economically. So the way how they are working is that we give them the advantage of that. We live up to their mercies. We live up to their supporters. We live up to their economics, as if we don't have. I second the saying that we were there first, and then they came. They say they discover us. That's what they are doing. We give you this, we did this for you, we did that. So I think we work on within ourselves first. That it can take a lot of energy, enormous resources and time, but it is better that we build ourselves from the scratch. Even we start. There are so many innovations going on by young Africans. We encourage those things. We tip these things. It starts from individual attitudinal change, then it becomes societal change. Thank you, Dr. Masanga.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Shakespeare said, there comes a time when one has to play and leave the stage. We are nearing that moment of leaving the stage, so that other players can join the stage and the play continue with the. When Shakespeare was writing these plays of Macbeth, there's one thing that attracted my attention. The death of Julius Caesar. To him, Julius Caesar said, it is not his death that was important, as he lied on the floor. Uteti, uteti, uteti. And he said, my son, it is you stabbing me 23 times by Brutus. But the collapse of the Roman Empire, the destruction of the Roman Empire was what was important. that followed after the death of Julius Caesar. If we don't speak now, our Africa might not be there. If we wait until they mutilate it to pieces, until they take everything except our souls and our bodies, we might regret. Even God will ask us, I gave you a good continent. Why did you allow people to take it? Mr. Ngugi Wafyongo, 1 minute, followed by Lukwago, followed by Cecil, followed by Eledi, Faustus, and lastly by Sean Wesonga. Close the chapter, and remember tomorrow, and tomorrow, 9:15, Zimbabwe. Remember tomorrow, 9:15, Zimbabwe. (8:15) Zimbabwe time. 6:15 London time, where I will be. I will be hosting. And Trisha, I have asked for your photograph so that I put it. Trisha, send the photograph. My studios in Nairobi would like to have your photograph for the poster to come. Ngugi Wafyongo, take the microphone, please. Ngugi Wafyongo. Ngugi Wafyongo Akanga Nyimo. Where are you? Lukwago, take the mic.
Thank you, Dr. David. Thank you so much for this second opportunity. Actually, my humble appeal.
You are summarizing your points. You are summarizing your points because you are one of the speakers. Anything that you might have left out, say it now.
Okay. My humble appeal to Africans, more so the electorates, to think of actually coming up with leaders who cannot easily abide by the Western ideologies. How did the oil become a curse to us? After the fall of Soviet Union, US came up with that ideology called terrorism. Okay? And whichever country embraced the fight against terrorism automatically became an ally of the United States of America. US fronted the terrorism in the Middle East, that ideology. It fronted it in Africa. And after fronting such ideology to the world, US, UK, they created the so-called terrorist groups. And they operate mainly in areas that are rich in oil. You go to the Middle East countries. You go to Syria, the so-called ISIS. Who funds them? Okay? Go to Nigeria. Who funds Boko Haram? Go to Somalia. Who funds Al-Shabaab? So, we should sit on the round table and think of a way of getting rid of such leaders. Okay? Because if we don't do that, actually we need a second liberation. Yeah? If we don't do that, we are going to end up of dying. Yeah? To my disappointment, per se, in DRC, After they used with the very Africans to fight for them. Proxy wars. You find a certain superpower funding M23. Okay? Funding a certain rebel groups, they are over 100 and above in DRC. These superpowers, after realizing that there is oil in Africa, actually they are competing for it amongst themselves. France, Russia, China, USA, UK. So they choose to fund different rebel groups that can suit their interests. To my disappointment, they are using we Africans, my FDA, Rovichi, what and what, M23, ADF. Can't you wake up? We have that challenge actually to educate ourselves. That is in regards to levels of civic competence. We must do our best to see to it that they raise. Because educated people cannot be taken for a ride. Like those Western powers are taking us. How can they use you to kill your fellow African? To my major disappointment, they use the very African leaders to kill the people they lead to in their attempts to suit their selfish interests. That's why I have to remind you to wake up. Otherwise, if you don't do so, we shall just end up seeing many of us becoming destitutes within our own countries. Karamajongs here in Uganda, they are street kids on the streets of Kampala. They are destitutes within their region, but they are blessed with a lot of mineral resources. Why? Because we have leaders who cannot understand for themselves. We even the people they are leading, we can't hold them accountable. They only account to those Western powers. Take the case of Sumanyi Rusebagana, that man from Rwanda who was arrested. He was sentenced to 20 years in jail. But upon Mr. Jenke Sirovan meeting Paul Kagame, President Paul Kagame, they released him. That's why I'm telling you that we should devise ways of dealing with leaders who are accountable to the Western powers, those global power, other than being accountable to the people they lead. Why? That is the first problem as to why oil is a curse. For as long as their puppets give them the rights to such oil-rich areas, they will lead the way they feel like. I rest my case, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much again, my brother Lukwago. Thank you very much for that analysis of the situation in Rwanda, where the man who acted in Hotel Rwanda was released. And indeed, it shows double standards. If you are somebody small and you are arrested, you might not be released. Someone came and pressurized Kagame, they released him. But it's a good step forward for us, because everybody knew that guy was not bad. And I would also like to thank President Kagame for giving in to international opinion, which means everybody in international opinion was saying, please, this man has no problem. Why do you detain him? So thank you very much for that, Lukwago. Thank you. Don't miss the one of tomorrow of this diamond gold smuggling ring. What else? Bring it on. Brother Luke, stay in a nice place, work your shift, leave it early. It is going to be hot. And I invite all the Zimbabweans Those who want to speak for, against, come. And Tisha, I have requested for your photo to be put on the poster tomorrow as a co-host. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know what you are waiting for, but I need that. We need that photo for the poster in Nairobi. Thank you very much, because you requested for the job. You got it. Ladies and gentlemen, I now call upon who was going to, it was Cicely. Ngugi, are you still alive on the platform or you have a problem? I gave you a microphone. I accepted you as a speaker, but you seem to be just a listening ground. Faster. No, Cecily first. Just 1 minute, then Fasters, then Noor, then Wesonga, and then we close down. Go ahead.
So just is it my turn? Oh, Dr. Matanga, did you call me to speak?
Yes.
Oh yeah. I just want to emphasize the topic that we're dealing with. Like, I just want to shout out to you for this wonderful space that you conduct. It is very educational. It's very helpful because many of the information that we receive from you here, we don't get it from the news media, because all that we hear is just false nonsense about Africa, which is baseless, which are nowhere close to the truth. So it's very helpful that we get this. You conduct this debate, that we're able to hear the truth of what's going on in the continent, and we are very privileged to have somebody like you as well with your immense knowledge and information and the length of life experience you've had. So it's a wonderful space, and I just want to thank you, and I look forward to the next one where we can deal with other issues affecting our continent, because our continent is a very prosperous continent. We are very rich in resources. It is a pity that our people are so poor. We shouldn't be poor. We should be one of the richest people on earth. We should have the top class university. African people are very intelligent, we're educated. This is the reason why our colonialist masters, they sought to place us down. They didn't want us to be educated. They stopped us from going to university until in the late 19th centuries. So this is what is happening. So I'm glad that we're able to come here and learn more about our continent, try and find a way of solving our problem, try and get some kind of political education. Because many African people, at the end of the day, we lack lots of political education. People don't know about what's going on. They don't know the solution. They don't know the cause of the problem. And they listen to the Western media, and the Western media tells them it's our leaders that are the problem, that we are the problem. And they come to this platform and try to espouse those nonsense that they've heard from the news media. So I'm very happy that we have the opportunity to rebut them, and in some cases to educate them as to what is really going on, because many of them, they don't seem to appreciate the nature of the problem that we face and the root cause of all these problems. So shout out to you, sir, and I look forward to your next space where we will share further ideas and knowledge with each other. Have a wonderful Sunday, and have a wonderful Sunday, everyone else. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Noel. Mr. Noel.
Yes, Dr. David Matsanga. I would like to make 3 points. My first point is that the colonial powers are operating on a 360 type of arrangement, where they take advantage of all areas. For example, they set up a system which exploits. When there are groups that want to fight against the exploitation, they use those groups as well for their own exploitation. A case example can be the rebel groups in the Niger Delta, where oil companies have run rampant and caused environmental degradation in that area. And when armed groups took up and tried to fight against the exploitation, what happened was there were other entities that also took advantage of that. And I think Dawit was also speaking of this as well, where the Ogaden liberation or army or whatnot, they fight against oil, with exploration, but they have legitimate grievances. But yet again, other entities take advantage of their legitimate grievances. So it is a 360 type of deal, so to say. And my second point is that once again we have to ask ourselves: does the nation state work in Africa? I think the nation state works well in Europe, where Europe is ethnically, where these nation states are ethnically homogeneous, where you will say this person is French, this person is German, Norwegian, Dutch, and they all have a language, a culture, and a society that they have in common. But in Africa, you have a country that has different ethnicities, different languages, different religions, different histories, and yet you want to make these people into one country, into one. No, that works in Europe, but this cannot work in Africa. So we have to ask ourselves these tough questions. Can we implement European Western liberal democracy and nation states into Africa? Can we just implant it there? No, we cannot, because Africa is diverse. And as I said, nation states were set up to exploit and to extract. And my third point is for your space for tomorrow. I think Qatar is not the only Gulf country that is exploiting Africa. I think there is Saudi Arabia, the UAE, as well as Oman. Whether that is natural resource exploitation, whether that is strategic exploitation, military exploitation, land exploitation. I think these Gulf countries, we need to be looking at them holistically and not just point out one Gulf country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Noor. Of course, our debate will extend to all the Gulf states that have interfered in African affairs. It is not only Qatar, all of them. Most of them are, even the uniform that Al-Shabaab is wearing comes from Saudi Arabia. Yes, how does it pass there? The Red Sea, it comes on underwater, on water. How does it reach Al-Shabaab that they are wearing the uniform that is similar to Saudi Arabia's army? Who in Saudi Arabia sells these uniforms to Al-Shabaab? You see, the whole platform is quiet.
And just to make a quick point on Al-Shabaab, it is another example of a 360 exploitation, where Al-Shabaab mainly operates in areas where our minority clans operate, and they have gripes against certain other clans. And yes, they have legitimate grievances. Al-Shabaab comes in, and who takes advantage of this? Other entities also take advantage of these legitimate grievances. So it is as I said, it is a 360 deal in terms of grievances and exploitation.
In fact, what is happening in Saudi Arabia seems to be one of the countries that is causing a lot of confusion on the African continent. But for now, we shall spare it and wait. Let's deal with one monster at a go.
Yeah.
And that monster is well known. Fausta. Your summary point, parting shot.
Sorry, are you calling on me or?
I'm saying your parting shot. We are giving you a second chance in case you missed one point or you have learned something new.
Yeah. I always learn something new. I'm always a huge advocate of, technology transfer. That's what I would request as a parting thought to think about is technology transfer, and how we can utilize that, and bringing back vocational schooling. I think these are the biggest blessings that can bestow us to move forward in our own way of dealing with what we have, our resources, and how we can manage ourselves. But thank you, and happy Sunday.
Thank you very much. Have a good Sunday. Is it Sunday in China?
I'm in Dallas, Texas, so very much a Sunday morning.
You have gone to Texas now?
Yeah, I live in Texas.
Okay, thank you very much. You live in a place of oil, and
Yes.
you know what oil, is it a curse or not a curse? A blessing? To Texas people, it is a blessing.
Yes.
But to us in Africa, it's not. Have a nice Sunday.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Matsanga, can I just say something quickly about this topic? Right. I agree with you that in the context of Africa, these resources have become a source of curse for us because the availability of them has resulted in lots of conflict and in lots of war and in lots of foreign forces interfering in our affairs. But in actual fact, if they are utilized appropriately and no one interferes, it's meant to be a blessing. Because every nation that has resources, it's a source of revenue for that nation. It's a source of development for them. It's a source of, it is very, very, very good thing. So on the one hand, I think it should be. If it wasn't for all the forces that try to interfere in our affairs, it would be something that would be of immense benefit to the nation and to our people. But so it's just the unfortunate situation that these resources, people are then using there are different factions and then using it to actually attack us and try to get in between us to extract our resources. But in actual fact, I'm not agreeing the fact that there is a curse. Like, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a blessing. And I think that one day Africa will get to the position where our resources will be sold. We'll get the normal price for it, the market price for it. And all the people of Africa would enjoy the resource of that continent and that nation. So I'm of the view that it should be a blessing and it will become a blessing one day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before Sean Wesonga comes, Musa, you have been off and on, and then Kunai, my neighbor here in Bromley. Why were you taking so long, Kunai, to come? Musa, can you make your point, please? You have been off and on, Musa.
All right. Peace be open to you. Good day to you all. Hello. I hope you can hear me. Good day to you all.
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. So I feel glad to get an opportunity to be appointed as a speaker, even though you have appointed me more than 3 times. So thank you. I'm very glad to get this opportunity. So from the topic of our discussion of today, this suggests that is oil a curse or a blessing to African countries? Does it help Africa? So, Dr. David, the clear answer is no. Since there is a lot of countries in Africa that are exporting crude oil or oil. And when we can compare these countries with Arab countries, we will understand that, like, we are not enjoying our resources. So particularly when we take like country Nigeria as a case of study, we will understand that Nigeria is the largest crude oil exporter in Africa, in a nutshell, in Africa, in the whole Africa. Apart from this, and Nigeria, I think it may be the fourth largest country that export crude oil in the world market. But still, Nigeria and Nigerians, they are suffering from this. Since from 1970s or 80s, when oil boomed in the country, we will understand that then insurgency, conflict, among others, has been in presence. Immediately after getting an oil within the Niger Delta region, then there is a group of people that are called the Niger Delta militant or what have you. All these militant, I believe that they are being funded or sponsored by the Western world, particularly the France. So when we can take another case study in Nigeria, as a northeastern region of Nigeria, there was a part of northeast, and some people they said there is a crude oil in that part, particularly Lake Chad and Borno State. It is located in northeastern region of Nigeria, and all these states they have been under terrorism and insurgency for more than 2 decades, just because of crude oil. And we will understand that immediately when Nigerian government gave the contract of the crude oil that have been deposited in the northeast, that France will exploit it, then the rate of insecurity, that is Boko Haram, has been dropped down, or ISWAP. So this shows to us that our crude oil that have been deposited in Africa, we are not enjoying it. Some people that are not in Africa, they are the one who enjoyed it most. So apart from Nigeria, let me start an example with some country that their case is not even matter of crude oil, like Mali. Mali, they depend on gold. They're exporting golds. And there is a lot of terrorism in Mali and insurgent and terrorist activities in Mali. And terrorist organization in Mali, they are up to 5. And military government that took over power, I think in 2022, they accused the French government of supporting terrorism within their state. And they even gave the permission that the French militaries, they're supposed to move out from their country. And up to now, the French military, up to now, they didn't evaporate from Mali. This shows that there is an interest that they are getting in that country. So most the problem of Africa, when we can compare the crude oil that we have in Africa, or apart from crude oil, the natural resources that we have in abundance, when we can compare what we have in our continent and what some continent have, we would understand that we are just suffering in this world and we are not enjoying our resources. Just like to say that the hostel doesn't pay for the money, for the wages we are earning. And there is another view that says that even Nigerian government doesn't know the adequate crude oil per barrel that this multinational corporation that are exploiting within a day, within 24 hours. This multinational corporation, maybe they will say it is 50, but they exploit more than 100 barrels. So if Nigeria, as a giant of Africa, doesn't know the amount of crude oil that the country produce or export or exploit, so what about Niger Republic or Chad, that these countries that are little in terms of population, economy, militaries, everything, they are weaker than Nigeria. So we will understand that in terms of mineral resources, not even oil, in every aspect of mineral resources, exclude population. So we are not enjoying it. When we can compare, can you imagine when we compare Nigeria and Qatar, both of these countries, Qatar, I think they depend on only crude oil. Nigeria, we depend in a lot of mineral resources. So, and still, Qatar enjoy more than us. So, apart from crude oil or natural resources, as we all know that we are not enjoying it, it's more favorable to the Western world or the US and their allies. So, but the major problems of Africans is all about leadership. Apart from leadership, then there is what Kwame Nkrumah said, that I think maybe it is Kwame Nkrumah, said that toothless bulldog, all this inter-regional organization or continental organization, particularly the ECOWAS, let me start an example with ECOWAS. Just 1 year ago, when the Burkina Faso took over, when the military in Burkina Faso took over power, even though we are not supporting a military coup, but we are supporting for the government that will do best for Africans, for best of the will of their citizens, not the government that always favorize the Western world. So when they took over the power, we even know that this government are doing something will be good for their citizens. But ECOWAS is among of the organization that put a lot of sanction in Burkina Faso. Just they want transition. They don't want that government that is anti-waste to rule that country. So even our organization, even our continental and regional organization, they are fake. They are supporting the Western world. They are not supporting us. So particularly the issue of in Zimbabwe, that Western world, they are putting a lot of sanction to Zimbabwe just because our regional organization and continental organization that took place bulldog. They doesn't work for Africans. If just imagine if the EU it is capable enough and unite Africans. So all the sanction that's the way that the Western world will put to Zimbabwe, I swear, I believe that it wouldn't work because we are united and our leaders are good. We didn't have bad governance, but in Africa, we will understand that our leaders, they are bad and they are corrupt to the extent that they can even sell their country. Apart from this, and our organization and our regional and continental organization, they are fake. It doesn't work. Particularly when we can we compare our organization like ECOMOG, even though we even know that we are young, or in terms of we are weaker than the Western world. Can we compare ECOMOG, a subdivision of ECOWAS, with NATO? I hope it can't be compared. And can we compare AU and EU? Even though we believe, we already knew that, we all know that the African continent and African Union, Africa have the highest country in the United Nations, more than 54 countries. Apart from this, Africa have the largest natural resources in abundance in the world. Apart from this, and still our AU, continental organization, doesn't work for us because it is copy for the Western world. So for Africa to be changed and for us to enjoy our resources that we have, so we must have a good leaders, that we have to erase all this bad governance. But what will make you to feel bad or to make you to feel even cry is that most of the Africans, they are not ready for this change, particularly Nigerians, where we vote for a party that we hope that party will do something will do something that is good for us. At the end of the day, the election has been rigged, and they declared themselves as who won the election. But this is another topic of discussion. Forgot about that. So then, in the nutshell, in my conclusion, what I have to say that is that for Africa to find a solution or to solve all this problem that we are facing, include terrorism, because I believe that all this terrorism and what have you, it has been sponsored by the Western world. Even though I had a lot of what you are saying, that you have said that Qatar. Forgot about Qatar. Qatar is a puppy of the Western world, and Al Jazeera is a puppy media, and this media is all about propaganda. They are professional in terms of propaganda, just like CNN, BBC, DW, and among rest. So for Africa to be developed, or for Africans to enjoy for us to enjoy our natural resources, we have to erase all this bad governance we have and corrupted governance that we have. But that is our leaders that are corrupt, that are not ready for change. Then the second one is all about the continental organization and regional organization. Then when we have all these regional organizations,
yes,
give me a 1 minute.
Sir.
Hello.
Yeah, 1 minute. Yes.
Just
Thank you. You have made very good points.
So 1 minute. My main reason why I keep emphasis on regional organization or continental organization, what makes EU, European Union, to be developed or to be more strong in international community is their organization. And NATO is among their organization. What and make them to be military strength in the world. So the main emphasis that if our ECOWAS and sub-regional organization, including AU, will do something that based on our own interests. It will unite us. After this organization unite us as in like one continent or sovereign state that are united, maybe we will have one currency. Apart from one currency, there will be free movement of goods and services from one country to another. Apart from this will boom our economy. At the end of the day, we will have a joint task force in terms of military. So whenever we have a joint task force in terms of military, when one country invade like UK invade one country in Africa or in West Africa, like UK invade Niger or something else like that, then all these countries, 14 African countries that are members of ECOWAS will stand to defend that country, just like NATO. So I think this will bring peace and harmony to our continent, because in international community is anarchy in nature. So for you to be developed and you to achieve your national interest, you must have a weapons of mass destruction. This is a clear message, as we all know that. Since for you to develop or to achieve your national interest, you have to harm other countries. So in terms of harming other countries, another country will retaliate to you when you have a lot of nuclear weapons. So I don't think they will retaliate, just like what is currently happening with some countries in the world, like North Korea. So if North Korea hadn't been, they didn't have weapons of mass destruction or sophisticated weapons, by this time the Western world will invade them and they will carry a lot of resources and make their country to be better fit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Musa, I think I kept you last. Kumbe, you had very good points. I thank you very much. I want you to greet my people of Mali. Greet the generals in Mali. I love them so much. They are great. They have suspended democracy and they are teaching people democracy. For 5 years, when everybody knows what elections and democracy is when they will return to democratic rule. Otherwise, Africa, we don't know the difference between elections and democracy. Lukwago will tell you the truth that we don't know. If 68 million people don't turn up to vote in Nigeria, then you, as a man who has won an election, you stand around and tell people, I am the real man. Then you must be a madman who did not go to school, but you went to a toilet. Yes, thank you. Kunai, my brother, you come in late and you have just a neighbor across here.
And Dr. David Masanga, and my apologies for coming late and for the Sunday show. And I didn't know, to be honest with you, that we are going to be holding the second part. Is oil a curse or a blessing in Africa? I think it was last Sunday we held the first part of this discussion with many people requesting, many of the audience requesting that we hold the second session. And I didn't know it was going to be today, but we do appreciate that you bringing us this subject once again. Firstly, I would like to greet Dr. David Masanga and his Pan-African discussion, which he normally holds for us. I think David is one of the few African brothers that holds this on a consistent basis, regular basis, at least once a week, maybe twice. And it means a lot to us Africans, and Dr. David. And the people that come to your program, just so that you know, and they don't just come here, but they feel something. They feel a sense of Pan-Africanism. They feel that there's something in Africa that needs changing, that there's something in Africa that needs improving, that there's something in Africa, a sense of belonging in this space. And I wanted to say to you that, and we thank you for holding this space. And that's why we keep on coming back. That's why we keep on coming back to discuss issues that is utmost important to us Africans. And saying that, and I might have a different perspective if I may touch the topic. I think you might be right at the end of this program or something, but a lot of people might have spoken that I've missed. But if I may touch on a few points, Dr. David, and is oil a blessing and to Africa or a curse? I believe, Dr. David, that oil in itself is a blessing. And I believe that oil in itself is a blessing. I believe that oil can develop a lot of sectors in Africa. As you know, a basic African child or basic as African civilians, we don't have regular running, fast, abundant and running water. Not all Africans have this privilege. We don't have 24 hours round the clock and electrification, energy, electricity, running non-stop, uninterrupted electricity. Musa, please, if you can mute your mic, I think I might be getting an echo. My brother, thank you. And electricity, good high-class education facilities, universities, primary schools, and high schools, and similar that we boast here in, in the Western world, in Asia, in developed countries. We're missing this. Oil can be the means, Dr. David, to diversify our economy, agriculture, renewable and energy, and renewable energy, agriculture, fisheries, and healthcare, and education. So many sectors, so many things. But I think what we're missing is the magic touch, which is the good governance, the rules basis, the basis to manage this blessing, the basis to manage the rules and regulations, the needed legal framework, the needed accountability to manage these resources. I think that's what we're missing. I am shocked to watch the other day a program, a documentary from Al Jazeera, Dr. David. I don't know if you watched it or not. It was about our mother nation of Zimbabwe.
Don't touch
I am appalled, shocked, heartbroken to all my Zimbabwe brothers and sisters. I'm sorry. I'm sorry what's happening to you.
Kunai, don't touch there. My brother, don't touch there. It has been hot here. Don't touch there. Tomorrow at 9:15 p.m., come on the platform. We have also discovered what Qatar is doing. Bring your evidence. We shall bring our evidence. Don't touch there, Kunai. It has been a hot topic here. If people were near, they would have used the sticks on each other. It was hot.
I will reserve my fire. I will reserve my fire for another day, Dr. David Messiah. I'll reserve it for another day. If you don't want me to touch, if you don't want me to touch on Zimbabwe and the gold mafia,
not today.
I'll reserve it for another day.
We have touched it already at the beginning, and it was very hot. It almost broke down the system. We have discovered that Al Jazeera is also a hoax. It is being used by America to destabilize Africa. So we shall also bring evidence tomorrow. Come with your evidence.
There's another side to the story. I didn't know there was another side to the story, but
yes,
and I will be waiting for your program.
You only come to this platform. You learn more things here. Tomorrow at 9:15 p.m. is Qatar and Al Jazeera. Are they satellite systems that are breaking Africa? Case study, Zimbabwe.
Okay, Dr. David, and I'm gonna heel back the mics, and I'm gonna conclude by saying I see my brother Lukwago has got his hand raised up.
There is somebody by name of Brunel. Who is Brunel? Brunel.
I can't see him here.
Brunel. Mr. Fish, who is Brunel?
Oh, Brunel is here. Brunel and C is here. I think she's downstairs, Doctor. Send her the mic if you want. And she's downstairs. Rubel is here. If she wants to say one or two words, maybe
Brunel,
we can invite her and give her the mic.
I am looking for you, Brunel.
I can see Brunel, and she's she's downstairs, and Doctor, with a verification tick. She's here. So if you want to send her the mic, she's there. I wanted to conclude by saying, Dr. David.
Oh, she's here.
Oil.
Yeah, you
yes,
go
she's
ahead.
here.
Brunel, there
okay,
you are.
thank you. I wanted to conclude by saying, my brothers and sisters in Africa, we need to we need to create a vibrant environment so we could manage these resources, so it could improve the livelihood of our ordinary African children, women, and elderly. We need to create a system that the wealth that is generated from oil does not go into Swiss accounts, but goes into our gold reserves in Zimbabwe. It goes into our gold reserves in Uganda and elsewhere. It elevates our currency, but doesn't elevate somewhere else. Why is gold in? I'm not going to go into gold, and I think you know what I mean, Dr. David. And oil can be a blessing, but we don't have the system.
You are touching hot fire. I told you, Kunai, tomorrow you will be one of the guest speakers. And I want you to come with your evidence on these fraudulent applications by mafia. I want Qatar to tell us, also go and investigate how many people died when they were building the World Cup stadiums. Has Al Jazeera done a documentary? If it hasn't done the documentary, let Al Jazeera tell us who sanctioned them to do the documentary. Was this gold a gold for America, for Qatar? Whose gold was it? It was the gold for Zimbabweans. Have the Zimbabweans have a right to sell their gold? The answer is yes. How they sell it, whom they sell it to, is not a problem of America or Qatar or Al Jazeera. That is my position. And I will defend it 100%. If Qatar can show me a video and an audio that shows that they have compensated for the 2,500 people who died while they were building stadium for World Cup, then we can honor. Otherwise, I would lead an international boycott. I would lead an international campaign to boycott Qatar, Al Jazeera in Africa. You don't know me. I'll do it. I'm the man.
Okay, Dr. David.
And
okay.
Anybody touching Putin on ICC, I am here and I'm ready. I'm the only one who can teach these monsters a lesson. Who can teach ICC their lesson? They are nothing. They are zero. They are very ignorant about law. They don't know international law. It's a group of diplomats sitting in one room, choosing who has the best perfume, who become lawyers, who issue warrants. That man from Poland was issuing a warrant with anger because the Polish don't like Russians. Rubbish. 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 Thank you very much. Next.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for giving me the mic. Brunel is here now. She's with you. So thank you, Dr. David.
You can see how hot it is going to be tomorrow. Kunai, you can see how hot it will be. I have already asked for a job.
Definitely.
I have asked for a job from Mr. Putin. And the diplomats are here. I will do the best job nobody will touch Putin in Africa. Nobody. Let's arrest Sarkozy first. If they can arrest Sarkozy for me, then we can arrest Putin. No Sarkozy, no touching Putin. That's it. Sarkozy killed Libya and they stole our money. It is our money that did campaign for him to win the presidency. We want our money back to Libya. Hey.
What about the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, which has not been
Where
found
are
up
they?
to now?
Can they show us the weapons? These people are very bad people. They just destroy countries. Where have they stored these weapons? Where? Brunel, Madame Brunel, take the microphone.
I'm here. Thank you very much. I'm so sorry, Dr. David. I didn't want to intrude your room, but Africa is in my heart. I'm Italian. I live at the moment in Berlin, in Germany. I changed many different countries in the last 30 years. I had one grandfather actually in Sierra Leone. He passed away many years ago. So he always said to me, "You should never go in Africa because Africa's still your heart, and you will never leave it." What I wanted to why am I here? And I'm sorry to disturb you. I just those rooms that we have all over give us the opportunity to hear exactly what's going on in a country. So I just left one Italian room. I'm often in a US room. It's important also that if it's possible, that we listen to each other. I'm with you 100%. Africa was abused for hundreds of years. It's the time for Africa to become absolutely independent and strong. And I'm really worried because I noticed, for example, that even US changed now if you watch my wall, you will see also who I am and what I think or whatever. But they're changing now, and they have the army, US Army, Africa and Europe. So you see, there is a special politics that is coming over. Europe lost it completely. Unfortunately, we discover now that all our authorities, all our politicians have been infiltrated, and we are nothing else, as you can see, the result that the rug under the bed of US. So we don't have any independence here, and we are totally under the control, unfortunately, of US. If I can say, my shout, be careful, because Africa is the richest continent in the planet, beautiful, and of course you have them everywhere. There is a big fight. They want your resources, they want everything, and you need to all of you be united. And everybody that was calling to be united have been killed in Africa. Now, like never, was the time for Africa to be totally united, make a strong wall against all those people that come from abroad and want to steal everything from you. Of course, there are good partners from abroad, but good partners are the ones that they don't want to take everything and destroy your country or create terrorism and so on and so on. The good partners are the ones that come with contracts, fair contracts, that they help Africa to grow, not only take and steal. But so I'm sure that Africa is hopefully in the right direction, because I hear so much power and so much energy. And if I can send all my blessings with my heart, and I'm really sorry that I occupied your room. If you don't mind, I just wanted to listen. And if you have any question from Europe, I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brunel, all the time. Tomorrow, 9:15, tag me, I tag you. Let me follow you, you also follow me. Anything that Dr. Matsanga does, you will see it and you will come quickly. This is the most exciting platform with rules, with regulations, with a lot of material, intellectual material, historical material, with facts. I am the only person in Africa who can There are people, but I'm the only one in Africa who can name all the 54 countries without looking at the Google map. Name all the 54 capital cities of all African countries. Name all the 54 presidents without a hiccup. I know them by name. That is what my work is. If you're a teacher and your students ask you, who is the president of Uganda? Then you say, let me Google first. It's students will laugh at you. So thank you very much. Here we are. Mr. G.I., I can see you have, then we're Songa last. It is coming to 6 o'clock. We have 4 minutes. Let's use 1 minute on G.I. I can see you with a very good picture of Putin. Let's hope you are not the Russian guy who has come in to tell us more good news that we have got the job.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, oil, a curse or a blessing, it's both. You know, you spoke about corrupt politicians, that's the curse. And the oil, a blessing, is the mineral of the of Africa. So this like so-called new world with China, Russia, etc., we've heard them speak and make, they basically said the same thing that Gaddafi was saying, make Africa one, currency, etc. We've got the resource. And if they're trying to do a new world order in the sense of like make everyone equal, etc., why not team up with them? Like, we've gone down the EU route with all the UNs. There's not even is there any black diplomats or anyone involved in the UN like has a seat at the table, the main table? I don't think so. So if we could do deals with Russia and China and other countries, where is it like where we give them oil or so and so, and they build hospitals, but at the same time they use people in Africa in those countries to start. You got to start somewhere, innit? So I'll if we was to go with Russia, Africa, Russia and China, I'm sure the Americans would sanction and hold what assets we have in dollars, etc. You know what I mean? If it's a thing that going with them would be a benefit for us in the long term, why not do that? You know what I mean? And you have good governments and you have corrupt governments, and it's a thing where with the new world order with Russia, etc., if it's true and honest, like, everyone's on the same level, everyone's got to be honest, and there can't be no corruption. People can say Russia, China's corrupt, etc., but we can't have a sense of what someone said about Nigeria. There's a lot of corruption there. This can't happen. If you want to work with us, we've got to work with you, and we've got to do deals where it would benefit the country. So like I said, building hospitals, schools, infrastructure, etc. If it could benefit Africa, so be it. And you start somewhere. You've got to start at the bottom. And and if it's a thing as well where they build military bases in Africa, in those countries, I think that would help as well. Because again, America will be stupid to try to attack Africa with NATO like they did with Libya and all these other countries. So it's a blessing and it's a curse. And regarding Al Jazeera, Dr. David, there's other countries that have, propaganda news. BBC, CNN, before Ukraine started, before Russia invaded Ukraine, they were talking about the genocide and etc. that was going on in Donbass. Now they don't speak about that, So Putin has warned and warned and warned and warned. If you continue to do this, this would happen. And it's a repeat. It always repeats. It's the same thing that happens again. And when the honest truth is there, it gets ignored. So I just wanted to finish off on that. Like, great space. But again, like I said, it could be a curse with corrupt government, and it could be a blessing with the minerals we have, as long as we could work together and it's a fair deal. Like, I know, is it France has control over Mali, where Mali, if I'm right, Mali can't spend their own money that they earn without getting authorization from the French government. You know what I mean? That clearly shows you know, controlled. You know what I mean? So there's all these things, and it's got to be fair. You know, that's all I wanted to finish off with, mate. But cheers, thank you.
Thank you very much. Emperor Nero. Emperor Nero looked in the sky and saw the sky was far, and looked at Rome. Brunel, you are here. I'm now going to your Roman Empire. When Emperor Nero looked at the sky and saw the sky was very far, and called in Christians, the mother said, there is a new group of people in town, Emperor, that pray while closing their eyes and looking upstairs, up in the sky, in the heavens. And the Emperor Nero said, I want them to come to my palace in Rome. Emperor Nero said, the other group that was looking at the stars only, and they could look at the stars and measure the stars, and they said, this star, Jesus is about to come. This star, there will be a son born here. Emperor Nero decided to do one thing. He said, after praying, after the Christians coming in for some time, he saw nobody bring up the sky, which was white. So he decided to burn Rome. To burn the entire city of Rome, the empire. The city of the empire of Rome was burnt down so that the smoke, Emperor Nero's thinking was the smoke could reach up there and God could come down and help him to fight the barbarians that were threatening to come from north to overrun the Roman Empire. Ladies and gentlemen, for every good thing there comes an end. But one of the things that disturbed Emperor Nero, that he turned on the Christians and killed them, killed even the mother. Emperor Nero killed the mother, because the mother is the one who said the Christians don't kill them, because somebody up there is more powerful than you. That's why the smoke cannot reach up there. The mother was killed. If we don't speak as Africans, as Brunel said, our continent will be no more. Therefore, we have done our best. Oil was given to us, sent to us, delivered to us by God. If we doubt him and we allow people, someone comes to Africa and said, we discovered Lake Victoria, but we were also there. How about if we say we discovered David Livingstone? We also discovered David Livingstone because we had already lived, and someone said he discovered Africa. He discovered them. Are you the one who created us? You didn't create us. We were also living and drinking and taking in the air that God has given to Livingstone to be able to walk from South Africa, Botswana, up to Lake Victoria, near the source of River Nile. We were also walking, Shaka the Zulu, Lobongula, the Tutsi Empire, the Nyamwezi, the Majimaji Rebellion, the Lenanas of Africa, the Selassies, Haile Selassie, the Lion of Judah. There were people here already. the ancient pyramid of Egypt. We had already started building pyramids. And somebody to say, he came and say, discovered us. Yet the people who moved from Egypt to the promised land came from us. How did they come to us? It means we must have conquered them first. So for everything that is good, Africa must talk and talk. What kills Africa, ladies and gentlemen, are structural obstacles that are colonial vestiges. If I'm wrong, take 1 degree from me and tear it. We still follow colonial vestiges. Is there anywhere in the world where they have written that every nation in Africa should have elections every 5 years or 4 years? Show me. Or we just follow the America and the Britain that every 5 years we should have elections. Who told you that even when you don't have money, you conduct elections? Tell me. Who told you? Is there anywhere? The man who discovered democracy is a Greek. Socrates, Aristotle, Plato Republic, the book that I've read inside and out. I can quote you even the letter, any page. There is nowhere where they have said elections should be held on every 5 years. Who told you to hold election? A poor country in Africa with less than 100,000, 200,000, $2 million GDP. You want to hold an election of 20 million or $5 million. Where will you get the money? You will go and borrow from Britain or borrow from European Union. And as soon as you borrow the money, they also come to your country to see whether the money you borrowed bought the ballots or not. So here we are. Here we are. Here we are. Here we are. Where are we? If we don't stand up for our continent, we are done. Ladies and gentlemen, Shoni Wesonga, vote of thanks, close it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Matsanga David, and all the participants to this conversation. Indeed, it has been a very, very insightful conversation around Africa and its resources. And one thing that actually has come out clearly for me is that Africa has the mandate of determining its future and its destiny, because these resources actually belong to the African people, and they should be used once they are extracted to the benefit of the African people. But also, we must be alive to the fact that the Western countries and other outside players have been actually playing games of intrusion and subversion in the way the African countries run their affairs. And one thing that has come clearly is that the problem in Africa is a leadership problem. But we've seen also that these Western countries are not quite concerned about who is the leader of the day in most African countries. So long as they are able to play to their tune and be able to allow them to get what they want in terms of these natural resources, then they're going to keep them in power. We've seen that happening in Burkina Faso during the time of Thomas Sankara. We've seen that happening in DR Congo during the time of Patrice Lumumba. We've seen that happening in Libya when Muammar Gaddafi was taken out. We've seen that happening in countries like Somalia. Recently, we saw in Ethiopia, where it's quite clear that Qatar has been having a hand in it. We see whatever is happening right now in the Maghreb and the Sahel region, the kind of insecurity that is there. And no one can actually deny that all these chaos are motivated by only one factor, which is these natural resources in the African countries, because it is so difficult to actually maybe come to a conclusion and say that all these chaos in oil-rich countries, in gold-rich countries, in cobalt-rich countries in Africa is by it is not by coincidence, rather, because when you look at the chaos in Cabo Delgado, these are the same chaos that are happening in Chad. These are the same chaos that are happening in the Niger Delta region. These are the same chaos that actually were happening in some parts of Somalia. And I tend to actually think that the West, just the same way when I look at Yemen, which is an oil-rich country, the same way Saudi Arabia, Qatar and the Emirati have actually held hostage of the country in so many years, in that they are not able to extract their oil and be able to benefit from it, to grow and be at par with their other Middle Eastern countries. It is the same way the Western countries has held Africa at stranglehold, in that Africa cannot be able to have their own freedom to determine their own leadership, and therefore to put or to bring a scenario where we have a stable leadership across the African continent that could oversee proper channels of extracting and exploitation of these natural resources that Africa ends up benefiting from it. And this has been actually been enabled by these by subversive activities, by intelligence networks from the CIA to the to Mossad to other Western intelligence networks that are always constantly funding these rebel groups, that are constantly always funding the opposition, dissidents, and all other people that have been working in collaboration with them to ensure that we have instability in Africa. And who does this instability benefit? The Western countries. And therefore, Dr. Masanga, as we conclude, I believe the message is already home. Africa should actually be able to reclaim its own destiny. However, we also have to make it clear that the Western countries should actually give the African leadership the opportunity and the chance to be able to run their own affairs. I submit.
Thank you very much. I can see Lukwago. The hand is up. Lukwago, the man has said a vote of thanks. After vote of thanks is a toast. What did you want to toast to us?
Actually, I thank him so much. He has dissected it the way I feel like I wanted. So, Doctor, I wanted to add on what Mr. Musa